Welcome to Bogside Chats, where we're talking everything DFK and keeping it casual. My name is Matty Pesk. As always, I am joined by Franz and Guy Kid. Boys, how we doing?
Doing great. You blew out my eardrum a little bit with that, with the welcome.
You told me to.
I said bring the energy, not, Anyway.
What's the difference?
Happy to be here.
Guy, how are you?
Doing well. Love the intensity, Matty. Just forget
Excellent.
what Franz said.
Yeah, of course. I do that most of the time, don't worry. And as you can tell on the screen here, we have a fourth box here that we are very happy to be joined by the PvP guru himself, Wowee. Wowee, welcome back to the show. We are so pumped to have you here.
Hey, guys. It's a beautiful day in DFK. Thanks for having me on.
Ooh, I like that.
That's
I like that.
This stream is starting out as just a single S, right? Or no, an A. And then we'll see how we kind of progress from there.
See if we can get to Wowee level.
See if we can get to Wowee level. So Wowee, we have you on because, and I tweeted this earlier, a reckoning is upon us. We had last Thursday on the Mythic Squad, so shout out to the Mythic Squad, Starbuck, Beeve, and Mosh. I went on there because I was supposed to prove that I know Wowee so well that I could tell what he rated the thief, and it was the biggest collapse in my life.
Some might say a bloodbath.
Yeah.
How many did you get right, Matty?
0. 0
That's
right. While
impressive
Beeve went like 6 out of like 9. He was like very accurate.
Some would say the perfect ratio.
So I have a wow. Do you want to add something before I have a bone to pick with the Mythic Squad that I want to get into?
Whoa. Okay.
Wow. A bone picking aside, I would like to congratulate first of all the Beeve, and Mosh did great. And Matt, you were breaking my heart, man. You were so close every single time. And the only thing I could think about it was like if he was talking to me during stream with this one, he might have pulled me back enough to get himself some points.
Here's what I'll say too, and I discussed so over the weekend. Then I kind of reassessed everything about my life, and I went over the thief, and I was like looking at it, and I was like, oh shit, Wowee was right on a bunch of these, and I was wrong. There's one I'm still upset about. I think the luck one where it's like % chance to be a free move. I think that one should be a Wowee, and you didn't give it a Wowee. But regardless, it was a lot of fun. Shout out to the Mythic Squad. I highly recommend everybody go check it out. They have it on their stream. It was last Thursday. They also had the Dragon's Crossing guys on, which was kind of fun. Mythic Squad has been putting out awesome content, especially Guy. You've been following.
Yeah,
the egg cracking, right?
Egg cracking event. I think they ended up with 8 mythics during their blue egg event where they did 100.
How many total eggs?
100. 101 actually.
Such bullshit. His odds.
Yeah,
I've done 100 before, and I got 1 mythic.
I actually was looking it up. I got one of the legendary slots, so I got a Hydra out of it, which was pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
But Mosh got more mythics than he got legendaries.
That's wild.
Wild.
I got in this one for the Kaderi, the Wandering Kaderi.
Ooh.
Because it was all variants. Because I was trying to decide between the mythic whelps, and it's like, well, if I pick green, a red comes out, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah,
so.
you're going to be pissed.
But wait, can we stop giving them props so I can shit on them for a second?
Yeah.
So, all right. So the stream started. Beeve got out to an early lead of like 2-3-0. And then out of nowhere, we're inserting Mosh into the equation.
I agree.
Matty would have had more chances to come back if it was only the two of them going back and forth.
100%.
They eliminated his. It was rigged from the start.
I agree. This is great.
I'd throw the whole match out. I don't know.
Wow, that is the hottest take I've heard.
So
are you saying that was a disqualifying match and we have to rerun it?
I think so.
That's what I just heard.
I mean, I don't know.
Also,
it depends.
I can't. I don't know if I can do it again because I missed
early.
the Monday. I missed the Wowee Monday stream so much. I have so much fun on those.
Yeah.
I can't not do that. Franz, we'll have you go on
not
there.
Not many chances left. I mean, how
we'll
many
see.
classes do we have? I mean, I guess we have all the advanced in the.
Yeah.
Exalted.
So Monk,
we have
it's Monk, Legionnaire, and Scholar are the remaining basics. And then obviously all the remaining advanced and elites and dreadies.
Who thinks we're going to get all of Sarandale before we get any of Crystal Vale?
What do you mean?
Oh, like
Like,
Well,
you
we've
think they'll-
gotten Berserker and Seer.
Oh, true. Yep. No.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
We haven't gotten Seer. I could see them waiting on Legionnaire and Scholar.
I
Like
don't know.
jump to like Dark Knight ahead of them. You think?
Or, I mean, I don't know. Depending on when this pre-alpha is going to be released, I kind of thought it
That's
was
a
going
good
to be
point.
Monk this week, alpha release next week.
Right.
But I don't know. Also, the Legionnaire and the Scholar are the two that Workhorse was on. Like, this was the can't words.
Words.
Yeah. The Wisdom was involved before those two classes released, so I would have to assume that he had some kind of say in them and maybe had some things brewing right off the bat.
I
don't
like that.
I don't know.
Well, he definitely seems to be a history buff for sure.
Oh yeah, he's a massive nerd.
I love that. That's my favorite part is from the very first one with the Berserker where you have that painting up and he's talking about all the lore. Like, I love that stuff excites him, and that excites me for PvE. That like,
Oh yeah,
it's not just like, like the term fluff and crunch. Like it's not just all crunch where it's just the mechanics in the game. Like he enjoys the fluff piece of it too. Shout out Konix, that's one of his terms.
Yeah, no,
Where
the
the
fluff is
fluff,
always
he's
great.
the crunch.
flavor versus mechanics. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't flow as well.
I know. All right. Well, still shout out everybody. Go check out Mythic Squad. Those guys are super fun, and I will gladly go back on a stream with them, regardless of whether they take me to cleaners or not. All right. Oh, go for it, friends. You got something?
Special announcement for our viewers: if anyone is interested in a legendary Seer Wizard subclass with double Chatterbox,
Hello.
one just hit the market for 159 crystal.
That's
Ooh.
it?
What
Eight
rarity?
summons left.
What rarity?
8 summons left. Legendary, Gen 2, 8 summons, Seer Wizard. It is a minor, but who cares?
Man,
Double Chatterbox. And
But
double
wait, there's
B4 inactive. What's basic 4 active?
cleanse.
Is it? I think it is.
No, heal.
basically-
It's healer cleanse.
No, it's cleanse. So it's double cleanse, double Chatterbox, 159
Interesting.
crystal. And I'm not
Interesting.
selling it. This is me pumping my bags.
This is an alert you just got. You know,
I just got the alert.
watch it be like, not Franz OX.
We're just keeping it casual.
All right, so tonight we are very excited to have Wowee on. We are going to talk a lot of PvP speculation. There's been, I was going to say like they've been dropping a lot, but they've kind of slowed up on the skill trees. However, 2 weeks ago there was the Wisdom AMA where like the team was there in Minnesota, so they dropped a ton of information there. The Thief Codex had a ton of stuff with it because of all the item stuff added to it, and overall, it's been a bit since we've had a good speculative podcast. So I think we're very excited to talk a lot about some PvP stuff. Something we're going to start off with in the very beginning here that we've talked about a lot, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, and I apologize, but evasion. So I'm going to bring up or do I have my thing up yet? I don't have my thing up yet.
Nope.
You
Hold
do.
on. No. Oh, I have to. Oh, there we go. Nope, I don't want that. There we go. Technical difficulties. So I also shout out Mythic Squad, Starbuck. I copied Starbuck and I decided to make a little presentation, some slides in a deck.
Are you going to read us a story too?
I'm not going to read a story. No,
I need to find. We need a new logo. That's my
Don't,
homework for
don't
next
say
week.
that. Don't say that. Don't say that publicly.
C9
All right.
Why, it
hadn't
looks
made
perfect.
This. All right.
I know. I like it. All right. First thing I want to bring up here is this quote, or this is from the PvP discussion, a comment that Wowee made. And Wowee, you want to help me? The key thing I want to talk about here is the accuracy versus evasion. So this is we were talking to Hubert and Workhorse, and we were trying to figure out like what is a basic attack, how does it work, and they've given us some sprinkles here and there, and you kind of put it all together in this comment, which I really love. But give us like a quick, I mean, and maybe it's just that one sentence, maybe it's not as, maybe I'm overcomplicating it, but give us a quick thing of accuracy and evasion. Like what are your thoughts here?
Yeah. I got you. So, yeah, whenever they were dropping like little teeny tidbits here and there, I've gone full Ancient Aliens,
Yes.
like investigation archaeology mode into this thing, and I have been piecing together the Matrix as they give me like little tiny pieces and drawn lines.
Yeah.
But so the way this goes is every single time you declare an attack, you are using your accuracy versus your opponent's evasion to work out what your chance of either hitting or missing is going to be. And then you've got block added in on top of that. But in terms of just evasion and accuracy are two opposing forces that are going together either to work for you and for your opponent to see who's going to get hit.
And so, I think the key thing here too is this is every single attack or every single move / skill that you use.
Spells included.
From anybody, spells included. Now, I want to give a major warning before the next slide comes out. This is speculation. We are speculating. Okay, I'm going to put up a formula that I've created, and it's not an official one. Okay, I want everyone to know that this is not official, but this is just going to help us kind of understand what evasion and accuracy mean. Hold on,
Excited for this.
I gotta zoom out. How do I zoom out? Yeah, there we go. What is evasion really?
Can you use it in a sentence? What country of origin, please?
We did up this little formula. Your evasion plus the degree of difficulty minus the person's accuracy who's attacking gives you a miss chance.
You couldn't have worded it in a more confusing way. Now we're talking miss chance rather than hit chance.
So I did the exact same thing earlier, and I was like, an easier way to probably, a more understandable way of putting this out there. And then I literally just put in like 16 lines of like phrasing, and I was like, this was not easy to understand at all.
But basically,
this was not a better alternative.
And I have some notes there. Basically, like we don't know. There's also a couple things we don't know, and that's the accuracy formula. They've told us that dexterity for physical attacks is a big part of accuracy, and then also focus for magic attacks, which is wisdom and dex 60-40. But there's more to those formulas that we don't know exactly. DoD, we don't know what those numbers are going to be, but we know a lot of classes have a lot of moves with DoD, and some classes don't have a lot of DoD. And again, that is a degree of difficulty will, affect whether the move is successful or not. And then I tried to give a little example at the end. So I don't want to get too bogged down on the formula. The point I'm trying to make here from all of this, evasion is going to be incredibly important. And I know I've said that before, but like I really want to emphasize it right now. I think having any hero, tank, DPS, support, healer, who has high evasion is going to be beneficial. I think that is my takeaway here. Yes, I have some weird formulas, and maybe this should be a Wowee and I on his Twitch stream. Maybe we can get into it, the formulas a little bit more. But I guess the main
he doesn't want us here, guy.
No, the main takeaway. I don't want to get too bogged down in the formulas. The main takeaway is that evasion is super important, and I would say evasion. And we're going to talk about some, the genetic traits later. Double foresight. I think in my mind, in my individual rankings and how I put them in my mind, foresight and evasion is creeping up as one of the most important things for any hero, regardless of what you're going for. Like having evasion is important, and I would argue, more important than a lot of other things that people are saying right now.
Maddie, why, in your words, would it be more important than block?
Because in my mind, block may or may not come into play. It's sort of a secondary thing, and it's also harder to get in terms of, Knight has, like, only certain classes have access to block, where everybody has access to evasion and accuracy.
Won't the block formula be based off your endurance?
I don't know that for sure.
Wowee?
That adds to it, yes.
Yeah. But like,
so what I thought you were going to say and what I thought I was teeing you up for was with block, don't effects still sometimes go through even if the physical damage is blocked? Or did I make that up?
Okay, so phrase that for me one more time.
So it was my understanding, limited, from watching your streams and from listening to Maddie just talk about this nonstop, was that with evasion, any effects such as poison, silence, whatever the hell, with evasion, if the move misses you, it misses you. Those don't get applied. With block, I was under the impression that they still could be implied. Did I make that up?
Yes. No, you are completely right with this. On the previous slide, I break down. That's the super long portion. The 3A and 3B portion is going into critical hits and then effect application. 3B is effect application versus effect resistance. This basically means that if you block an attack, it still hits you, right? It's still hitting you, but it's hitting a shield, or you're deflecting in some way, but it's connecting to the character, which means that the attached effect is going to have a chance to apply. So if you've got an attack that says, it's 80% chance to poison, right? Kind of like how Poison Blade is in the traits, then you have an 80% chance for that. Even if you get blocked, there's an 80% activation rate, right? That the poison's going to go through, and the poison condition goes against your target's effect resistance.
Okay.
Even if it's a block. If it's an evade, then all of it's broken down. Every single bit of it's broken. And you can even say that evasion has more value in this case because Workhorse confirmed that if you miss any of your series attacks, you have to start over.
Wait. Say that again. What do you mean series? What is series attacks? What do you mean by that?
Like combos?
Yeah, the combos.
Oh, okay.
I've been calling them series because they all have they kind of go in a line.
The turn before. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If you miss, like, say you got 2 out of 3, right, and you're on your second one, and you miss that second one, you have to start over.
Ugh, that's tough.
Yeah, that's big.
But with block, it doesn't. Hypothetically.
Theoretically, it would still connect, but the damage would be 0.
That's something also I want to talk about a little bit later. Is the thief move has a built-in do 0 damage,
which I'm very excited about.
Which I
honestly,
think,
I didn't know
what
what
I think
that
means though is that like the actual taking away hit points is not necessary for a move to successfully hit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, 100%. Or I think I was throwing it around. I was going to ask him in my stream on Monday if Monk got released, but does the deal 0 damage count as a damaging instance even though it's 0 for the purposes of on-hit applications such as Toxic?
Right.
I would guess it does, right? Because otherwise, why word it that way?
Exactly.
Right? Why not just leave that out altogether and it's just not a damage-dealing move?
And is there something in the future that's going to give us something along the lines of, like, all moves that have sabotage have a new damaging ability added to it?
Or not even. It's something even more basic of this sword adds +5 damage to every attack.
Ooh, yeah, daggers
Something like
that
that.
add to sabotage damage.
Yeah.
I like that.
So like that 0 just is a base, and you could add plus whatever to it based on some sort of either a move, maybe it's a move in another class, or the weapon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a passive move that's like add damage to any attack.
Yeah, and that makes sense with equipment. Yeah, it's if you're adding 5 damage or 5 basic attack, whatever it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
So
So the point is though, evasion is vital. It is going to be in every single move, every single attack evasion is going to be part of it in every single attack that happens. I in my mind, evasion is becoming more and more important, even more so than even having an advanced, or in some cases even an elite trait. I think I'd rather have a hero, especially if it's matched with the class well. I'd rather have evasion, the double foresight, for example.
Question.
Yes.
How much damage do you do if you max out evasion?
I mean, probably less. I see what you're saying. Like a hero who's max agi. Yeah.
Right, but how much damage do you take?
Yeah. Especially I think. Well, and this goes to a question that I really wanted to bring up with you guys, because I know Franz and Guy have been kind of anti this, but I think evasion is going to be successful on any hero type, even a tank. So even this big bulky knight or paladin who doesn't have a high agility score, if he could somehow get evasion added to him, I think that's going to be extremely successful, because he's going to be up front, constantly getting hits. And if he has a high evasion and some of those are misses, I think that is going to make your tank extremely successful.
Yeah, I've kind of come around on this. There's a previous stream where I was like, Maddie, shut up. You got to stop with this evasion tank thing, because their agility is going to be so low that it's not going to matter. Yeah. And I still kind of stand by that a little bit. Like, if you can get double foresight, right? That would give you 16% evasion.
16%. Yeah.
So what I was thinking was, like, that's not enough to make a difference. But yes, there is the idea of, hey, if I'm having 1 less hit, 2 less hits throughout the course of a game on my tank, then yeah, that's beneficial. Larry Binance Jr., CZ's son, he he
Is that
makes a,
true?
thank
He's
you
his
for
son?
thanks for laughing at
Yeah.
that terrible joke. I appreciate that. No, but he's making a good point about Goon. Goon is one where I can see that being your tank or being your frontline hero,
Sure.
and they're great with, agility. It's basically like a super monk.
Yeah.
Everything's good.
Yeah, I've been on the evasion train for a while. I've been saying for a bit now. Like I think my favorite frontline hero so far is a paladin archer with double foresight.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is something we talked about. Is the Archer
Ar-
Shroud move gives you crazy evasion.
Makes
Oh,
up for
right.
any low agility you might have.
Yep. And then also we know the Paladin has a kind of taunt move that is like while channeling you have to hit that Paladin. So those added together, and I know why I'm stealing your thunder because I know you were about to say this, but I was so excited. I had to say
Let
it.
him say it.
No, go on. I'm liking this.
Hypothetically, the Paladin Archer could create a situation where you're forced to attack it, but it has insane evasion, and none of your attacks are going to hit, and none of your attacks are going to hit the Paladin, and there's nothing else you can do, and you're just going to be in stuck there while the other two team members, I'm assuming, are just going to pick you off, and they're going to be archers and just kill everybody. I mean, right? Wow, what's the build you would do with that guy, with that Paladin Archer?
Oh, a paladin archer? Yeah, I'd be all over. If I could sit still and just reduce as much damage as humanly possible, it would be keep Hand of Justice up as long as humanly possible.
Right.
Which is an AoE taunt. No one can target anyone else except for the paladin while channeling. And if you've got the archer subclass, you have to have Shroud. Even Shroud Plus, I would say would be
totally.
the most beneficial way to go.
For the uninitiated, myself, what does Shroud do again?
Sure, let me pull that up real quick. Actually,
While channeling,
Yeah, why don't I
you
have
gain
the spec up? On
you
my
gain
side of shit?
evasion.
right, but Shroud Plus not only gives you evasion, but it makes it so you cannot be pushed, pulled, or
Yes.
stunned.
Okay.
And there's also a ultimate ability in the Archer, which is kind of a counterattack, which is whenever this hero receives damage, deal damage to the source equal to a certain amount.
Right.
I
at
was
that
going
point,
for
though,
a total
you're
turtle
getting-
tank.
That's a hero that's a very high level. If
Oh,
you're doing all
yeah.
these things together, I mean that's level 50 or 60 at that point.
Right, but so theoretically, you can have this paladin be hard to hit, but when you do hit, it's dealing damage back.
Right, it's bad for
all good
everyone.
outcomes.
It's bad for your opponent no matter what with this build. And even if you do get hit and they take damage, I'm sure Paladin's going to have defensives that reduce
yeah.
damage taken while channeling.
yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, it's
Are
interesting.
you-
Oh, sorry, go for it.
No, are you building that paladin with? Are you giving some points to evasion as well, or are you doing more of
100%.
a traditional? Okay, so what? What
Oh,
do
you're talking about like leveling up agility.
Yeah, like the actual
No.
stats.
Nope, not at all.
Okay.
Because I want my
So you're
paladin
just
to be
letting
as
that take
slow
care of
as
it.
humanly possible. Because the way speed is going to work, right? Whether they go
Mm-hmm.
with the rounds or whether they go with like the turn lapping thing when they were talking about it in the very beginning of DFK.
Right.
Whether they go with that or the round based speed, having a slow tank means you've got your buffs up longer.
Or at least hypothetically, yeah. If it works the way we think it works, you would trigger your whatever, and it would last the entire next turn until your turn. So you
Because you're
want
gonna go
everybody to
last.
go. You want everybody to go prior to you in that scenario.
Is that what you mean by the round lapping?
Well, he was talking about this thing, the way they potentially was going to work
Like the
prior.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
4?
like when you fill up your action gauge, like that's what they were
Yeah.
talking about at the very beginning, like
I
over
don't
a
think
year
that's
ago.
going to be. Well, whatever. I don't. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
because I played a little Final Fantasy 4 after like the first PvP announcement, and I noticed that, but I hadn't heard anything about it, so I never even brought it up as like, hey, are they doing this? I kind of was
Right.
under the impression that it was just kind of
Well, ever since they got
Turn order.
rid of like the word round in turn and like wanted to go towards duration, I've been kind of like, they can kind of go either way on this now. Like they're open to go with whichever they want.
That's interesting, because right now, I mean, just based on this conversation that we're having, I think we all think that agility is a very important stat. You throw that
100%.
into it, you throw that into it. I mean, now it's even more
Well,
important.
and I think, regardless of how it works, just like making those decisions in terms of like like having agility being something you're considering in terms of like, do you want what order do you want your heroes acting in is going to be something that is going to be a big part of strategy. You know, there's a lot of heroes that would do very well to be the first one to go no matter every turn, you know, and there'd be a lot of them also too that maybe should wait and maybe would be better in the mix, you know, especially priests like healing after somebody gets damaged that round, whatever, what have you. And then finally, I think tanks would do better coming at the end of the round. So I think consider like agility, while it's not necessarily going to be great, high agility is not great for everybody. It's going to be something that needs to be considered every single battle, you know?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around why you would want a tank to be slower or a certain hero to be like, I just feel like in my own head, it's whatever kind of speed my heroes end up in, my in-game strategy is going to be affected by that. Like, I don't know if I can like rationalize right now like why I would want necessarily one hero going to be before another. I mean, I'm sure there are specific combos where it makes sense, but
Oh yeah, I mean, turn
need
order
to,
is
like,
going to be
see
such a
it for
huge
that.
deal.
Yeah.
It's going to be a huge deal. Like, say for instance, like, I mean, I know we're to be talking about team builds later, but we could. I'll just go ahead and bring up like quick
do it.
roles right now, right? So you've got your what I've always called a turn one team, right? Which is you go for as much setup as you possibly can in the very beginning with buffs and damage bonuses and like what damage increases to your target. You know, kind of like how like a death mark would be, and then you could like set up the bonus strength bonus from the
Right.
priest.
You definitely want that
Like,
going first.
you want your priest to go first. You want your death mark to go first, and then you want your big, gigantic, nuclear blast to go off after they do.
Your Dread Knight for the purposes of
I mean, Wizard has a couple of those too. That could
sure.
yeah.
I mean, I
So
didn't mean
in
to
terms of like
pigeonhole it,
character building, if all I've got is like a common priest or an uncommon priest, like getting my agility higher than a legendary Dread Knight is going to be really difficult to do.
Yeah. Which, I mean, see, that's where it's going to be interesting. I would love to see people be successful with like this fucking beast of a mythic dread, and the rest of their team is literally common basics. Like I would love to see somebody succeed with that, and I would love to see what strategy they use. But I feel like hypothetically, everybody being good, like everybody being advanced, could be a better build. But again, we're gonna talk about team builds later, so I don't want to get into that right now. But that brings up an interesting thing that Franz wanted to talk about, and I'm really excited to Wowee to hear your opinion on this. So, Franz, you have a complaint about mana. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do. Not a complaint so much, just something that I was talking to Pouring the other day, and he brought up a specific build that I don't know if he'll get mad at me if I say it, but so
hey,
I'll
the
shy
more
away
info
for
we
now,
have about
but-
Pouring, the better. We all
I know,
just
but
need
then
more
he'll stop
info on
telling
Pouring.
me things, and then no, but it was the idea of he has a combo kind of lined up. I'll say that it involves Living Rage, which is a berserker skill that I think a lot of us have kind of looked at. You bring your health down to 1, and you buff up a lot of your attack, your speed, what have you. And it got me thinking, right? So if we start with the mana that's on the card, so say 200 mana, what's stopping me from doing my best attacks on turn 1, right? And I guess the answer would be nothing. Like I don't know, and I was kind of thinking of it as like I'm building up my mana as I go, and then the better turns are towards the end of the game. I can see a scenario where the games are very short because of a good combo that you can get off early, or that combo misses, evasion comes into play.
Yep.
But either way, I don't think that's a great experience, right? A super
where the
short
game is over.
that's
The game is over. Turn 1 or 2. Either win or lose, right?
Going in knowing, like, so I said Pouring has this combo. If I'm playing him, knowing that he's going to go for that combo, having nothing I can do to stop it, and just hoping that it misses, I'm a little concerned about that, a little worried about it.
Will those big moves have a channeling effect? Do we know if all like ultimates or whatever channel, or are they instant?
So I will say this, just on what I've seen, not all of them have a channel, but many of them do.
Wait, for what? I missed that. I was
For
reading
just
that.
any kind of
Just
big
comment.
blast. Some of them have channel, like some of like the pirate like Kraken moves have delay. Like, but there are also a few that are just like do a ton of damage right away. Like Wizard has some of those, and I think like well the knight capstone move I think is a great example of this. That hypothetically you could just do right off the bat. There's nothing stopping it from happening, which is like all three players move, somebody gets stunned, somebody
so
has like damage dealt. Like it could screw up a whole team.
I have it up here. It's deal damage to P1 equal to formula, and X% of that value to P2 and P3. So you're dealing, it's an AoE move, and then you're pushing P1 to P2, pulling P2 to P1, and stunning P3. So yeah, if you're doing that on turn 1, you know, that's
gonna fuck up your opponent hard.
I'd really want a fast
Yeah.
knight at that point.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right.
So I think here's the thing. I think the only counter to this is that everyone has that same access to a crazy turn 1 move. Now, granted, obviously this is where again agility and speed comes into play of getting a knight to do that first. But I don't think it's game breaking to have a kind of huge blast available turn 1. I think if your team recovers from that, then your opponent is screwed. You know what I mean?
Doesn't have a lot of mana in it left. Yeah, and I guess that's kind of the kicker that I'm kind of not accounting for, right? Is how much mana each of these takes.
Mana, but yeah.
You don't
we're
have
gonna
to
have to
correct me. I'm gonna say
We're
it.
gonna have to jump into the battle budget to get some mana pots too.
Right.
I mean, that's a great point too. Yeah.
Well, so going with that, can I take us off on a bit of a tangent?
Well,
I love
hold on.
tangents.
Before you do that,
I know. Yeah. Sorry,
wait.
no one else got to speak. I'll do that, Matt.
Yeah, no, wow. I do want to hear your thoughts on this because I think this is a valid question, and like I kind of feel confident that like I want these big moves to exist turn 1 because I think going for it and missing is I like that idea of like you're rolling the dice. You know, like what are your thoughts on that in general in terms of just sort of gameplay? You know, it's
So,
like I don't know.
And I really like that question because it puts a lot of stuff into perspective. Because when they released the battle inventory and battle budget, right, and then they also confirmed double sets being able to be brought, battle sets being brought in for armor and weapons, being brought in for your main class and subclass. Like you have so many different options. You can literally start off with a turn 1 team to go for that big, like, okay, let's buff everyone up, let's debuff everyone on the other side, and let's go for that nuke. Let's see if we can get, this thing done in three turns or less, right? And then, okay, that didn't work. Time to switch gears. I'm swapping sets. I'm down in some mana pots, and we're gonna go for the long game. Like you've got enough abilities to pack into one single hero that you can account for things messing up.
I just want to clarify that we should have talked about this more last week actually. So in the Wisdom AMA, it was confirmed that you will have weapons and armor set for your main class and also for your subclass that are going to be something that you can adjust. So you can go into battle hypothetically with 2 different builds, one being aggressive, one being defensive, one being X, the other one being Y. And so if the scenario that Francis put forward is you have this like turn 1 hyper blast, crazy move that like should decimate the opponent, and if it fails, you then can switch gears and totally like every hero has a secondary armor that they can put on to kind of accommodate for that afterwards. I think, I'm very pumped about that. I think that's a super fun idea, and also makes equipment, every time they talk, it makes equipment seem awesome. So like I'm very excited for that.
Yeah. Wait. So go into that a little further, right? Because I remember that in the AMA, we should have discussed that last week. I believe the example he gave, right, is a knight that is an archer sub being able to wield a bow and arrow. And yeah, it's going to be pretty shitty because you're going to have low dex. It's not, but it still has that kind of function to it, that mechanic. So in this scenario that you're putting forth, are you saying like, for example, all 3 of your heroes have a knight subclass and you would turtle by switching to that?
100%.
And I think a great example is like a wizard main class with a knight subclass or with a kind of
but they're still going to have low endurance,
right
low vitality.
But you give them the like robe of mana or robe of damage that has 0 defense,
robe of damage, of course,
and like does times 2 damage, right? But it has 0 defense on it. So you use the robe for that first blast. They do the first blast, and hopefully it debilitates the other team. But if it doesn't, now you take the robe off and you put on, wizard shield armor or whatever,
Right. Of course.
and which is the total item that will exist for sure.
Yeah.
And so now he's kind of a defensive wizard who can take a few hits here and there and can do some different moves. Because you
Do we
wasted
think that's going to take a turn? The switch?
I feel like it should.
Honestly, I'm kind of either way, right? Because they did say that using an item's not going to take a turn, but it may end up being like you have kind of like in D&D, right? I bring up D&D every single time. You got
Cheers.
a main action, a movement, and a bonus action, and a reaction, right? So the take your potion or swap out your equipment set could be a bonus action to your main action.
That's
right?
a good point.
You can only do one
Yeah.
of this set of bonus action, and then your main action is your ability, your basic attack, all that cool jazz stuff, or reposition. You know what I mean? Like you have your movement as well.
Like you can't take a free potion and switch your armor. Like that's too much for one turn, right? For free, for not counting as an action in your turn, right?
Right. And I can also see them go like, okay, if you're gonna switch your weapons layout, if you're gonna switch out your entire gear layout, like we want you to really consider when you do that and make sure that you've got enough time to gain value from that. And it's gonna take a turn because I mean, realistically, who's just in the middle of a battle like, all right, bring me my plate armor and my long sword.
You got the squire, a little training glove runs on with it.
Oh, training! Yes, a training glove runs and gives you the bow and arrow and takes the sword away.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone's got
For
that quick
one
change like
round,
Iron
you
Man.
actually have no armor and no weapons on.
Oh, I love that.
Ooh, that'd be.
We'll delay
I
with
don't
it.
think they would do that, but that is
No.
Dawn
interesting.
and Doth armor.
Like there's a attack of opportunity. Like if you like within the turn, again going back to turn order, if you change your armor out and like there's how many turns after you, like that could be interesting. Like
All right, now we're just speculating on total
yeah,
nonsense. Like this is
Gear swapping's gonna be delay.
yeah. All right. So I think going back to it though, I think Franz was nervous that it's game breaking to have these huge moves available turn one. Obviously the some of the alternatives would be having mana, start at maybe 50% and like it gains each round. There's been nothing to suggest that they're going to do that. Everything I've seen, it seems like mana's going to be at 100% at the
think
start
so.
of the battle.
Oh yeah. What's gonna hold you back truly is what do they call that where like you're paralyzed because you have too many options.
Oh yeah, analysis paralysis.
Yes, you're gonna like
I do
towards
that
the end of the game.
on the daily.
You're
I mean,
gonna
yeah,
have
that's my
analysis
life,
paralysis.
right?
It's like, okay, which one of my chess pieces am I going to decide to use here in response to what they're
Right.
possibly going to do? The later the game goes on, the more ridiculous setups are going to be, and the answers to those setups are going to be even more ridiculous. So, I mean, we're going to have so many options. Like, what, a level 100 character has, like, well, I think like the most abilities you could shoehorn into one is like 17 or 18 abilities. It's like
Oh, like
gonna be-
their the skill
That's
tree.
bananas.
Yeah,
I
'cause
hope
you can
there's
do
a
1 through
nice
5 on
long
both.
timer on these turns, because when we get to that point, I'm gonna.
Wait, so what do my
Take my
abilities
time.
do? I need
I
to
know.
read all.
right, and you got to read
I
through the
have 17 to
paragraphs of
choose
the
from.
wizard. Which of these ones am I doing?
Yeah.
I think. See, I understand what you're saying because it wouldn't be fun to literally turn one, get blasted in the face, and lose automatically. That wouldn't be fun, and I don't think
It
that's
would
going to happen.
create
I think,
frustration. I think.
yeah,
is
no,
the-
I
the
understand
better way
that.
to say it.
I think it's going to be balanced, and I think there's going to be a way to combat that. You're going to have defenses, and you're going to have. Well, actually, I should say this. Actually, I should emphasize this. If you have the right team build, you'll be
Yeah.
able to absorb that and play it. Now, granted, that's a thing. If you have a team of glass cannons and you get matched up against glass cannons and they just blow you away right off the bat, that's a possibility that could happen. You know what I mean?
And be an agility
Well,
race at that
I,
point.
I would
Yeah.
argue that a team of glass cannons isn't a very well thought out.
Right. But what I'm saying is
build,
like
you know,
I'm saying.
What about a
it's,
team of evasive glass cannons?
we know you want a team of all ninjas. Guy, you've said that.
We're going to
enough
talk about that
times.
later. Guy has talked about his all ninja team several times to us.
like dating back months now.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Before Wisdom was even on the scene, I was talking about this.
It's happening.
All right, I think we covered that, and we covered mana, and I don't want to get back into my formulas, my wrong or right formulas. Although I just saw Workhorse join the chat, and now I kind of want to just show my formulas and see what he says. But no, we're not going to do that. We're going to move on.
What if he just says LOL?
Yeah. He would give me nothing. I know he'd give me nothing.
I would
he'd
put
be like,
money on that being.
He'd be
the
like,
answer.
Maddie, you like making formulas? That's cute.
Can I wait? Do you have something you're going to next? Or
No,
can
I
throw
mean, if
in
you got
one
it,
of
take over. I was going to go to genetic traits, but go for whatever.
No,
you got.
actually, go. It's not a good time for. I have a few true or false that I think will generate.
Yeah, save those. Save those to the end.
Yeah.
That's fun. I want to go to genetic traits. I gotta bring up my screen, and I will in a second. So I think we've now seen several of the skill trees, and we've seen several of these heroes, and we are not several of those. We know the genetic traits, the active and the passives. We've gotten some time to kind of understand what they do and flesh them out.
I've only vaguely thought about them.
Yeah, we've only
I only
looked at
see
them.
them when I've closed my eyes at night. That's all. No big deal.
I think and apologies, like this is horrible. I don't even know why I brought this up. I do love the bloaters in the background. It was part of my, again, shout out to Starbuck. I'm trying to copy his spreadsheets, or not spreadsheets, his PowerPoints that he makes. Yeah, this is bad. You can't read it, but I guess I want to, and we've discussed this several times, and I've talked about it on other podcasts too. Of, are there basic genetic traits that are better than the advanced, or is there a hero build where you would rather have some basics than some advanced? And I think right away, I'll just say right away, and we mentioned it earlier, double foresight. I think double foresight is better than a lot of the especially like if you have leadership and nobody else on the team has leadership, you only have one leadership on the team. I'd much rather have double foresight in that scenario. You need to really have all three of the leaderships to really get the value out of it. And so I think there are a lot of scenarios where a hero might be stronger with some basic abilities. And now I pull this mainly from Franz made a bold statement last time. So I think Franz, you're kind of in agreement with me, right? Because your statement was
big time
similar, right?
What I said was, unless it's Giant Slayer, which I think is just valuable in a lot of different, ways, shapes, and sizes, I would rather have the double of the basics for the passives.
Any of them.
The more we pick that apart, there are a lot of good passives that I would like to have. But I think my general point that I wanted to kind of come through all that is that I think. How about this? I think you could be more strategic with your builds with doubles of the basics. Like I bought a legendary paladin today with double fearless. I think not being able to be feared,
I really like that,
which pushes you.
I think anybody who's doing
that's very big.
Anybody who's doing a lot of physical damage and is physical base, double fearless is going to be an amazing combo for them. And I think paladin's going to be heavy, physical damage.
Yeah, I mean, Chatterbox is the easy one, obviously.
For Magic, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and shout out to, I don't know who it is, but Luke Eathwalker. I think I've seen that name around.
I don't know who that is. Yeah, it could be anybody.
But
really.
he got that double Chatterbox.
Oh, he bought that one
announced.
that you talked about earlier. Yeah.
I was clicking refresh. I was gonna give it another 5 minutes, or I was gonna buy it.
Are you sure that might be Styx?
I'm not sure, but anyway.
It's got a cool
so
intern.
no, the other one, double foresight, we've talked about a lot. Wowee, you've said double clutch a lot. That wasn't one I was thinking of, but like that on really any build, right? I mean,
specifically for what we were talking about earlier, Living Rage, double clutch is insane. I mean,
yeah, I've actually got an alert set up for anything with a berserker in the name with double clutch. Like if it's berserk
class or
I've
subclass,
got subclass, I think has a lot of play there, right? Because I mean, you just have a lot going on. I mean, in terms of like, I get asked all the time, like, what traits are good? Like, what are the best traits? And it's like, man, just like the diapers my grandpa has to buy, it depends.
That was good. I was like, where is he going with this?
Well, I mean, like in the case of the berserker, right? You are given the opportunity to just choose when to activate the condition, right?
Mhm.
You're given the ability to open that door for yourself just by activating an ability. Or like in the case of double foresight, like, yeah, that's good for everybody, but who is it even better on? Does it go even further? Like we were talking about for the paladin earlier, they've got an ability that makes it so everyone has to target the paladin, so all of the evasiveness counts.
So now this becomes kind of and I do want to put you on the spot, Wowee. I mean, somebody who has, say, efficient and toxic, two advanced abilities. Let's say you have a berserker with efficient and toxic. Would you rather that berserker or berserker with double clutch and living rage, that living rage combo?
100% double clutch. Now, mind
Interesting.
you, efficient toxic is a really cool combination, and that goes for like a stall comp really, really, really
I
well.
agree. Yeah.
But just based off of what the berserker is allowed to do, you get so much more synergy out of double clutch, right? Because now, all right.
Yeah.
So just in the instance of living rage doesn't just set you to 1 HP and you can't die for an X amount of rounds, right? It now sets your HP at 1. You can't die for an X amount of rounds, and you have 60% bonus damage. That's what that ability does now. And you could always, get yourself out of there when you know it's about to, all right, so like say, okay, I'm coming up on my last turn, right? I'm going to be able to be killed. I'll just go ahead and heal myself.
Well,
Yeah.
so you're talking me into going against the point that I just made. When I hear that comp that you just made, and even going back to what I was saying about the idea of mana and the comps that Pouring was telling me about that scared me, this makes me think stun is that much more important.
Yeah, stun's incredible.
Because
Yeah.
now
Stun's
you
incredible.
use your living rage, I stun you, you die X amount of turns later. You know what I mean? Like, without
Exactly.
getting to use it.
I mean, that is one of the reasons why I've rated stun so high, because it's
Yeah.
the ultimate answer to whatever anyone brings to the table.
Yeah.
So
If
I
you
think
hit with it.
I think that's an interesting idea because now this is the fun debate in my mind. These double basics versus elites. I think stun is going to win out. Especially because it's the active. There's not a lot of double actives that are going to really entice me to be better than an elite. But looking at the other side, Giant Slayer and Last Stand. I know, Franz, you were saying you'd rather have Giant Slayer, but I mean, Giant Slayer on a Paladin or Giant Slayer on a Knight who just has a stupid amount of hit points. I don't want that. I'd rather have my Knight or that Paladin have double Fearless.
Yes, I and I've heard that a few times from people where it's like, oh, I don't want it on my high HP guys. I would say my tank is going to theoretically be the first hero to lose HP, so it's still going to come into play. But yeah, I'd rather have it on a wizard or on a thief that is
Or an
going to
archer.
be that low number the entire match. Yeah.
And I think it's a very interesting thing here. And Guy, I kind of want to hear your comments because you've also been quiet for a long time, so I have to call on you. But the market is not valuing basic abilities like that. The market has some value for elites and for advances, but there are awesome combos of basic abilities that are not being given any value on the market whatsoever.
And I've been loving every second of it. I love
I
my
mean,
Potato
yeah,
King.
same. Like pulling out, like I got a rare with, I forget what it was. I think it was a double foresight rare for like under 80, and I was just like, why is this on the market for this? Like it wasn't for a build that I was trying to do. I just saw it and I was like, I'm buying this. I think I'm curious to see, why isn't the market responding? Is that people don't know about these abilities? Because this has been out there now for a while.
But think of the different levels of speculation that we're doing here. It's like,
Fair.
one, we're speculating, the hero class match to the ability, and then two, it's the total team dynamics aspect of it too. But if you're this early of thinking of like you want to focus on a specific strategy, yeah, great. Buy while there's a discount on it.
I would add, I don't think anyone is, like I was saying, is speculating to this level where they're looking at the basics and what they actually do. I think people are still buying and summoning based on mutations and tier, where they're like, hey, an advanced is better than a basic. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, and
Mhm.
and in a lot of cases, yeah, that's going to be true, but I don't think they're looking at it as strategically with like, well, on this class, I'd rather this. You know, like I have a knight with efficient that like I'm just not excited about. Like that does nothing for him, right? He doesn't use mana.
Ooh.
What? Ooh.
Sorry. Wowee just sent me a. Wowee just sexted me basically.
And he's gone.
He
Just
sent
kick
me
him off the
a. He found a rare knight pirate on the market with double foresight for 59 crystal.
And he liked it so much that he had to leave.
I think
the
he
stream?
left. I think he left. I think he went to go buy it. I have to assume he went to go buy
He
it.
can't
Went to the
podcast
fair.
and buy heroes.
Yeah. No, no. I'm
First off,
assuming that's what he
Wowee.
did.
Wowee, we had you on the stream so that Maddie could stop talking to you directly in chat and pay attention to us. And now you're messaging him on the side. Like I can't with this. This is
Well, I mean, I'm sending him an example that he could pull up on stream right now.
Yeah,
and,
it's a good. Yeah, all right.
You know, first
Wait,
come,
yeah,
first
so-
serve.
what was it again?
It's a rare knight pirate that's on the market right now for 59 crystal, double cleanse, double foresight.
Double heal, double.
Oh, sorry,
foresight.
double heal, double
That's
foresight.
kind of wild.
So
Yeah.
double foresight, and not only that, but you have to remember how much evasion bonuses you're gaining from the pirate.
Pirate
and
sub has a
how
ton
much
of evasion.
better. Yep. And now, how much better is that tank unit with
See,
low
that's the
agility?
thing,
And it's
is
got
like,
blue agility too.
I don't think I like. First off, everyone needs to be watching Wowee's Monday streams where he breaks down the skill trees,
And not just because Maddie's on it with him.
and not just because I'm on there, but just because like it really, even if you don't want to listen to me and Wowee talk, like you just will take in what the skills are, and because he repeats every one of them, and it just helps you like understand what's happening with the skills. Even if you're annoyed by the two of us talking about our gaming experiences that we love chatting about, like even if you don't like that, just listening, you will gain more information about what each of these classes does.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you were gonna stop.
No.
Please continue.
You thought I was going to stop
I didn't-
ranting? Are you
I didn't
kidding me?
mean
This is
to.
what I do. I rant.
He was just
It
getting
sounded
started.
like the rant was culminating into.
No, go.
No, so one thing that I like to do, my alpha about the super spec sheet, which I'm not sure if everyone does this, I love using the find function and searching on
yeah.
a given,
Oh, yeah.
a given class, certain keywords. I just searched taunt on knight, and it does not appear.
So, all right. So we've discussed. All right. God, you're taking us down more rabbit holes.
This is what we do.
So we discussed it. Wowee and I have discussed this. The knight doesn't have a true taunt. He has a physical damage. He has a couple physical damage taunts where if you're
As
dealing
well as a
physical
condition taunt.
and the condition taunt might be OP, to be honest. That's what that one might be nerfed. If I hate saying things are gonna get nerfed, but I think that one's gonna be nerfed. Anyways, but he has a couple of physical damage taunts where any physical damage done has to be to him. He doesn't have a pure taunt where like everything you do
Okay.
has to be targeted at
And
him.
I remember that move now that you say it.
Yeah. So that is very interesting, and I think Paladin is the one who's going to have that, and we've seen it. That was the example they gave many moons ago. It's a pure taunt of like he's the only one that can be targeted. You cannot touch anybody else on the team.
Which is why I've been so bullish on Paladin.
I know. But what I was ranting and saying was, if you know the classes and if you just have an idea of what they do, you would know that Pirate has a ton of evasion buffs. And so having a Pirate sub on anybody with double foresight is amazing. I mean, it's same with Archer. I mean, Archer Shroud honestly is very OP as well, especially Shroud Plus. Like my Sage Archer, I love talking about him. I have a rare Sage Archer that has double foresight, and I think it's going to be one of the most powerful sages in the game. I'm just saying that.
Have you seen some of the mythic sages in the game?
I don't care. This one has double foresight Archer.
He doesn't care. Let's move on.
He's
He
going to
doesn't
be
care.
channeling, and you're not going to be able to touch him, and then he's going to be blasting you out of the water before
Yeah,
you
and
even
then
realize
one
what's
hit
going
from
on.
somebody's dread is gonna destroy him.
Maybe. I don't know. Sage is up there, man. Like Sage
Ah,
is
yeah.
literally the one
I'm giving
below
you a hard
Dread.
time, but yeah.
All right.
Do you
Where
want?
were we?
can I-
What are we talking about? Where's
can I
the
do it-
agenda?
can I do
Who's
it
got
true
the
or false?
agenda?
Can I do it true
There's
or
an
false?
agenda?
Yeah.
True or false?
True or false? Unless you're crafting a strategy around a priest sub is enough.
for like a three
hero
team.
unless you're crafting a strategy specifically around all these cool mechanics that the priest does, and it does have a lot of them. If you're just looking for a healer, a priest sub is enough.
Not till level 30 plus,
Why?
because it costs too much to get there.
Because you're giving up too much from.
What are you talking about?
You're
There's
not going to
one-
utilize your primary skills.
Because you have to buy skills to open up your
there
subclass
are great
ones.
heals.
I
Hold on.
mean, well,
All right. So
you don't
I'm
know the
looking at
numbers yet. You don't
tier-
know the
I'm looking
numbers.
Stop just screaming things. I'm looking at the one skill point priest things. They're all 3 of them are heals, and some of them are.
Right, but they might be
Doing
lower,
other things like
they might
cleanses,
be
too.
lower percentages numbers, is what I'm saying. Because they're level 1.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
But what about just a heal attribute?
No, you're
that
right.
point.
You could get heals pretty easily with just a priest subclass.
Wowee, true or false? Before I kind of explain why I was saying it.
It's a very interesting question because I mean I really want to go with it depends, right? It depends on the setup you're going
There
for.
we have it.
Completely.
Sign off. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Like I can't. Like I'm trying to think about it, like if your entire goal is to just get a heal out of a unit. Yes, priest sub is all you need. But I mean, there's so much more than healing that the priest does.
Right, and that was kind of the caveat, right? Like, there's a lot the priest does. You can kind of put strategies around that. But I guess what I'm saying is, if you're just, and I'm talking about like basic team building here, where like, you know, you want a DPS, you want a tank, you want a healer. I feel like the addition of subclasses in this game opens up an avenue where maybe you don't need to waste an entire slot on a healer, just a subclass of one of your slots. So I'm thinking of it almost as a team having 6 slots and not 3. If we're
No,
including
that's
the
exactly right.
subclasses.
No, that's exactly right.
Well, and I think something we're going to talk about in a little bit. Our next subject is team composition, team builds, and I think Guy Kid has been talking about this since literally we started playing this game, is having a 3 ninja team, and I think that's a very interesting idea to have. Over on your comment there, no question.
Got it.
That I think having a team that's like designed for something special like that, the all ninja team is all DPS. One of them having a priest sub, one of them having a another support class sub, and another one having another damage sub. I think that could help really fill out that all damage team.
And I think it's like my all ninja team I've kind of morphed that into an all agi team. Like I
Fair,
have
yeah.
one summoner that I'm doing my primary guarantee every level up is an agi.
Interesting.
But I would
And
still
so-
consider that all DPS, assuming summoner is what we
Right,
think
right.
it's going to be.
Yeah. So it's like originally when I thought backgrounds would matter is I had an agi team that monk was going to be like my tank DPS, summoner was going to
Interesting.
be my big hitter, and then ninja was going to be my crowd control hero.
Hmm.
But
I like that.
if you're maxing out agi, theoretically, based on where you line up from your opponent's perspective, all 3 of your heroes can go before your opponent even starts, and you
Yep.
can control the entire match from that.
Guy wants to end matches before his opponent even moves. For
That's
the,
the
always
goal.
a strategy.
for the
That's
biggest troll.
always a strategy. I mean,
Yeah.
as far back as turn-based games go, if you've got a squad, you
Yeah.
want, okay, my gigantic damage dealer that I've done nothing but pump, like critical strike chance, critical damage, and just crazy amounts of attack, like, but he's slow as hell, right? Okay, now I'm going to pump nothing but speed into this one character
Right.
that can boost him to the front of the turn order.
I actually, can I go on a deep rabbit hole tangent?
I'm gonna refill this.
What the hell else do we have to do? Let's
Did
go.
you
Let's
guys
go.
Did you guys play Pokemon?
Play what? What was it?
Pocket
Poke what?
Monsters? Pocket Monsters? And
Oh,
you
the
knew,
Pokemans. Yeah.
And
I've
you
heard of
knew
it.
the
Oh, the
rare
Digimon
candy.
knockoff.
You knew the rare candy. The rare
Digimon
candy,
were great. Wait, hold on.
hack,
The-
right?
The Digimon were so cool. Where you'd like click them together to battle.
No, they weren't. I hated Digimon.
The things they were the little keychain things, right? Am I thinking of the right
Yeah,
thing?
the
No, you're-
tops.
Well,
They were Tamagotchis for people who like to fight. Pretty much, right?
well, no. All right, Digimon is its entire own IP that is very similar to Pokemon. But they
Maybe
talk.
I'm thinking.
They like spoke
I might be
English.
thinking of something. I might be
I-
thinking of something else.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of something else.
Like battle Tamagotchis. You carry
Those
them around
definitely
your pocket.
existed, but I don't think they were
you're
Digimon.
close.
I don't think they
I
were
think you're close.
Digimon.
Anyway,
Anyways,
sorry.
if you use the rare candy hack, which we all did as children, to get to level 100 Mewtwo's, and then you battled with your friends, the two of your friends would both have level 100 Mewtwo's, and we didn't realize it as children. I didn't realize it as children, but the person that won the battle is the one who got to go first. And if you had a higher speed, you would automatically go first, and you would win. But I never knew that, and so it was always like fucking, you know, the one kid down the street who his Mewtwo always went first, and he always fucking won, even though it meant nothing, because those battles like were just kind of like one-offs. There never was any kind of like internet or, you know, back then. Anyways, the point is, controlling speed could like literally define how the rest of the battle happens. And so that's why it's
long
important.
way to get to that point. That kid down the street can't hurt you anymore, man.
I forget what his name was. I think
Not
it
if
was.
we go beat him up.
He was very scrawny and
That's the next
smaller than me.
DFK meetup.
All right. What are we talking about?
By the way, I
Team-
looked it
team
up.
builds.
It is Digimon. What I'm thinking.
Whatever thing you were talking about. I don't remember Digimon having like.
There were little keychain. I'll tweet out a picture later.
All right,
I
yeah.
can't.
I
I
know
guess
way too. I know way too much about this entire thing to even get started.
You know what I'm talking about with the Mewtwo with the.
Oh yeah,
level
no, I know
100,
exactly
yeah.
what you're talking about. Which is like an incredibly good point that you bring up because, like,
Thank you,
you're
Wowee.
you're
Hold on, slow down.
circling-
Hold on. We need to break this down. Say that again.
Wow,
A good-
we're very
you brought up a
careful
good
about.
segue.
We're very careful about not pumping his tires too much on this pod.
Ah, right, gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
No, go on though. Sorry.
But like you're circling a very important topic, which is roles. You have to consider the role that you want your hero to fill,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you've got one glass cannon versus another glass cannon, yeah, it's going to come down to agility. That is literally it.
Yeah.
If they can get their damage out before you can, you lose. Period. End of story. However, if you've got something in front of that can take the hit,
Yeah.
now you've got another piece of the puzzle. You know what I mean? So if say you want to get as much value out of your glass cannon as humanly possible, you've got to build around keeping your glass cannon alive so that you get sustained value longer. And now you're going down like, okay, now this entire unit is specifically designated to protect and help this
Right.
DPS unit survive.
Well, and that
Only.
goes back to Francis' first point about mana of like, if you have a big mega blast turn one, you know, people are gonna have defenses that are designed to block that, to protect their damage dealers, so that mega first, you know, turn one blast doesn't end the game right then and there. You know,
Right, which is another reason why I'm going to say this right now. Resurrect's probably not as good as you guys think it might be on DPS units.
yes,
Ooh,
You'd rather be
There are a
dealing
lot of people
damage
upset
Then-
that you just said that.
using a turn to res someone else. Now, I may have said that, but there is a situation in which that's actually a good thing. Say your tank wall goes down. Thank goodness I've got to
Mhm.
resurrect on my
Yeah.
damage dealer, put that wall back up. But outside of that,
I
I
think
mean, that's the only real scenario I can think of in which you gain value from resurrect on a DPS unit.
Interesting.
that's very interesting, and I think stuff like, well, sorry, go.
That kind of brings into another point that I wanted to make about leadership and intimidation. I teased you guys with the pre-show, but wanted to save
Yeah,
it for
let's hear it.
for prime time here. Shout out to Neindorf because he was the one that said this in our guild chat, and I hadn't really thought about.
Wait, can you share stuff that's in our guild chat? I don't think you can share that.
Oh shit! Do we have to cut this? Damn.
I'll do it in post. I'll edit
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
it's fine. No one's paying attention anyway. They're all
Yeah,
googling Digimon.
Yeah.
AP's in here talking about friends. Anyway, so the idea of if you don't have a full leadership, full intimidation team, and I know Maddie, that's what you're going for, and that is the way to maximize it. Great, right? But say you have just one hero with double leadership. In my mind, I was just kind of thinking, whatever, any of the three heroes, right? Who cares? It affects the whole team. But what he said is the idea of putting it on your backline or your hero that you can best protect, because when the hero dies, that goes away. And maybe you guys will be like, yeah, obviously we all knew that, but that hadn't clicked for me. And when it did, I was like, oh shit, these paladins with leadership that I like so much,
Yeah.
not great, because they're theoretically going to be the first to go down.
I think that's an interesting point. I agree with it, and I do think it's kind of like common sense, but like also it does make sense to be thinking about class and thinking about the advanced abilities that way, because you're right. I think tanks with leadership, or tanks with kind of like team buffs are going to be in the crosshairs right away, just because they're the tanks, they're front line. Vast majority of moves are one range, and they're going to be hitting that guy. So, is your team going to be able to survive if your tank dies, is the question. And
so you're saying if your tank dies, you're already kind of screwed?
Well, no, it's just like, is there a recovery plan? I mean, you need to think about your team without your tank, because that's who's going to die vast majority of the time first, And can
that
you
was
come
actually
up with
going to be my question: is what's your kill order you're going to go for against the other team?
That's a good question.
I mean, I'm not going to.
Because I don't know if it would be the tank for me.
It's not. It's never the tank. I think
your job as the person with the tank,
but they're going to make it, and also
first.
Yeah, if your basic attacks are going to hit the tank, and there's going to be a lot of times where you need to basic attack to either save your mana or to build up something that from the previous turn. Especially using items, like you use an item and then do a basic attack. That's kind of like a defensive move, and it's just going to hit the tank, and so therefore there's a high likelihood that the tank is going to be the first one to die. But I think
if all goes well.
I mean, yeah. But I think that's interesting idea. Actually, let's rewind on that. Wowee, I want to hear what you think about it, because I think having somebody with double leadership, that 10% is going to be valuable, and I like that a lot. I think obviously the 15% is ideal, but if you can't get that, I think there's still a huge value to having, especially somebody who's in the back row who might not be targeted as much.
Okay, so set the scenario for me. Am I the one that's got double leadership, or does my opponent have double leadership on one character?
No, you have double leadership, but you don't have anybody who could really work out with one more leadership. So are you still using that hero? Are you still building a team based on that, or are you scrapping that whole idea?
100% I can. Right?
Yeah.
I could see a world in which I'm building off of a double leadership. Leadership and intimidation are the only traits, or really anything in my entire super spec sheet, that I have given a variable rating. Right?
Sure. Yep.
If you read my remarks on it, it's like if you've only got one instance of these, it's an F rank. It does literally nothing except waste a slot for you.
Agreed.
But if you've got all three, it's incredible, yada, yada. But if you've got two on one unit, that unit's survivability is way more valuable to me. And the fact that my opponent can target a double leadership unit means it's more valuable for them to target that unit, because it's 10% damage knocked off across the board.
Well, I think that brings up something interesting that you talk about all the time, which is your mental taunts. And if you don't follow Wowee on his Twitch streams, he talks about this a lot.
The deterrent.
Something being a mental taunt is a hero that your opponent is going to target regardless of what they're doing, just because that hero is threatening in some way or has some ability that like your opponent is going to go for that guy no matter what. And I think it's an interesting way to kind of fuck with them psychologically of like, oh, I really need to attack that guy, even though this guy has certain abilities and stuff like that. And I think the double leadership is a very interesting way to get that mental taunt to go after somebody. Now, it's kind of hard because right now double leadership is valued. Those heroes are kind of hard to come by and expensive to buy on the market.
It's driven.
So I don't know if it's really worth it to be the mental, like you're kind of spending a lot to create that mental taunt in that scenario for the double leadership. But I do think that's an interesting idea of like, go after this guy instead of that guy because he has double leadership,
Right. No, I mean, we could use Resurrect because, I mean, that's apparently a hot button issue for people. But we could use Resurrect as a perfect example for that, as a mental taunt, right? If I see someone on the other team that's got a Resurrect, I know for a fact that that's only useful to them when somebody else on their team dies.
Right.
And I can completely take that value away if they die first.
Yeah. Ah, man, it's so interesting, and I'm, and if Workhorse, if you're still in the chat, but I am so ready for them to give out the whatever pre-alpha thing they want to give out. I am so pumped just to get my hands on this.
I'm probably not going to sleep for a few days.
It's good that you said that, because otherwise there'd be no way for Workhorse to know that you were really excited for that.
No, there'd be no way for him
he
to
wouldn't
know.
be able to
It's
figure
hard.
that out on his
It's
own.
hard
So
for him
you
to-
gotta tell him, you know.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into, and I gotta change. I gotta. So I've been showing on screen here this fun image that. Do we have a citation? Who tweeted this originally?
I will find this immediately.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was.
Immediately meaning soon.
There was some info. When did this come out? Like, what were they doing?
I heard it
last
was
night.
Photoshopped. That's what
I heard it was
Hubert said,
photoshopped, actually,
and
yeah.
I trust Hubert.
Wowee, can you answer it
He
correctly,
wouldn't lie to
please?
us.
It was posed as a Photoshop, but I think the consensus is generally a team-wide whoopsie. But
It got
What
the
was
whoopsie rating.
what was the stream though? Do you remember what the stream it was in though?
It wasn't a stream.
it wasn't streamed. It was literally live on the servers for a couple minutes before they're
Oh.
like, "Oh snap! Whoops! Got to turn that off." And a couple people got in and took some screenshots. This one in particular is a credit to Lyro. He found this and posted it in PvP discussion. It was like, "So what's going on here?" And then literally all of the devs came on. I was like, "Oh, that's nothing's happening. That's nothing. What are you talking about? That doesn't exist."
So
It was. I do want to say, good job by Hubert and Bolin, kind of saying it was a photo. Like, I wasn't sure if it was real at first or if it was a Photoshop.
But
not
then
gonna lie,
this
it
one
became
as well,
clear.
right? There was the second image was this one as well, right?
No, that was the first.
This is the actual photoshopped one that's fun.
Yeah, not gonna lie,
I'm so
Hubert
confused
100% got me with that. He was like, "Pretty impressive Photoshop skills." I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty good. That must be a pretty cool fan." Wait a minute.
All right, so our last topic that we really want to discuss tonight, and we've touched on this like several times, but the game is a 3v3, so you have 3 heroes to build your team out. Wowee and I have talked about this on our stream, and this is not anything new to anyone who's been in RPGs and stuff. And the Holy Trinity, a tank, a DPS, and a healer. You know, this is the Holy Trinity. This is the classic. This is your best build. You have somebody who's doing damage, somebody who's taking damage, and then somebody who's healing. I think this is just a classic good build. Thoughts on the Holy Trinity in general? We can move on to the next one though, because there's not really a lot of thoughts. It's just perfect.
I mean, it's pretty standard. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd call it all reliable.
Yeah. I think that's.
It's for your consistency kings, which is why I know why he snuck that word "best" in there.
Also, shout out to Starbuck again. I'm just stealing his format, but I call this one the Holy Trinity variant. Did I spell that right? Is that how you spell variant?
That's variant.
All right. Tank DPS support. So not necessarily a healer there, but somebody who kind of buffs your guys or debuffs the opponent. Still up there with the Holy Trinity, I think. A little bit different. I think any of these. So obviously we're talking about. I mean, do we need to explain what we're talking about here to people?
This is the support's
think
your
so.
priest sub right there. That's what
That's
that
okay.
is.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point there. That's your pirate with the priest sub or.
When I
support
look at
classes do we-
support, I really think of boosting your teams.
Mhm.
What? So wait. So I think maybe it's helpful for some people. Tank. I think we know your paladins, your knights.
Yep.
Trying to think of another one. Berserker could be a tank.
Yeah.
Even
Warrior
Warrior's got it.
Warrior has one. Yeah.
Warrior could be tanky. Support. What would we put into that category from what we've seen so far? I think Scour will be one.
Sure.
From what we've seen so far?
I think pirate is a surprising support.
Yeah,
Really?
100%. Like Seer is probably the greatest
Seer.
support we've seen by far.
Okay.
But I mean, you've also got units that are self-support as well. Like, I'd consider Knight a support class
Yeah.
because there's
you could build
so
Knight out a certain
much
way.
buffing and debuffing and
Yep.
disruption where it's the utility of the unit rather than the damage effect.
Okay.
I think. What was I gonna say? We haven't seen it yet, obviously, but I think Bard. I think Bard will be a support because I think it'll either
Heavy
be
support.
buffing or debuffing. I think that's what Bard's gonna do. I'm
I
not
think
sure on that.
Monk
Obviously,
will have a tree as well.
Monk
support
certainly I bet would have a support. If Monk has moves that could like, they don't do damage but they debilitate in terms of either stunning or blinding, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, like
I'm
lots
really-
of pushes and pulls.
Yeah,
I'm really interested to see the monk tree because that's the class
agree.
that I mean, just because it's a generalist, it's the class that I
Yep.
just can't get a beat on
no, it could be anything.
as
Yeah,
far as how I want to build it.
You know, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, Workhorse. If you're listening right now, if you release, I know I could pull this once because Bolin said he would do it, but if you release the monk like right now, I will do a 5-hour stream starting as
I'm
soon
in.
as this ends.
I'm 100% in. I don't need sleep. Sleep is for the
he
birds.
laid down the gauntlet
Yeah.
Sleeps
For the
for
birds?
tomorrow.
yeah.
for the birds.
These are, yeah, that's a phrase. People say it. So these are the kind of
People
your
have said
classics. These are like the standards. I think the next one is very standard. And Guy, I really want you to talk here. Guy's been quiet this stream, so I really got to make sure he talks
Just
here.
every stream.
I know.
I feel like I've been chatty today.
He's
No,
been
you have
chatty.
been.
But this is a common one in every game. Everybody goes for this. You know, is the all DPS. Everybody deals damage. Kill the opponent as fast as you can. I know you're trying to build it with ninjas, but talk about this guy. I mean, have you seen this kind of thing in World of Warcraft?
So when I look at the all damage teams, I really look at it. We're calling it support here, but I look at all crowd controlling teams in the sense of every single one of my heroes has the ability to disrupt my opposing team. So the whole mindset behind my all ninja team, if anyone's ever played WoW for PvP, like there's a feral druid spec that's very similar to a thief. And think of that feral druid as like having a priest subclass that they can throw kind of quick heals on themselves, but their main damage that they do is interrupts and fast attacks. And so pairing that up with a thief and pairing that up with someone else that does a lot of attacks, that has crowd controlling abilities. That's what I'm trying to build with my 3-man team here, of not necessarily all damage of hitting extremely hard, but like after turn 1, you have none of your heroes that can do any moves or anything that you planned on doing originally.
The
Kind of like
disruption build.
a troll build. Is
Yeah,
what I would
exactly.
call it.
Well, hold on. Before you talk about that,
did I
there's-
just?
Yeah, that's to come.
Sorry.
But Wowee, thoughts on the all damage, all DPS team?
I think it completely works. Now, if you go like glass cannon wise, you have to win the agility game, period, into story, or be able to survive turn 1 into turn 2, right? What you're trying to do is burn, like, well, okay, so like I was saying before, you have to think of the role. What fills that role? What's the idea here? What can we build off this? With DPS, you are looking at I need to take their collective HP pools down to 0 as fast as humanly possible without any regard to like what's going to happen to me other
Right.
than like
Yeah.
I need to just keep going faster and faster and faster. I think this is very unique in the fact that like it has a lot of subgenres, right? So
Sure.
like what Guy was saying is like you've got DPS right here, but like we have subclasses, you could put support underneath each one of those.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because it's about the utility about getting your damage out there. In all of these, honestly, in all of these team builds, it's all about the utility you're granting yourself to deal damage more effectively. And DPS has got it. You just have a shorter time frame in which to get it to work.
I think, that's a great point. Sorry, Guy, were you gonna?
If you're going up against like a Holy Trinity too, like imagine if you're the Holy Trinity team and you're going up against an all damage or an all DPS team, and they've just stun locked your DPS hero. What are you going to do with just a tank and a healer when your team's at full health?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Or they just nuked your DPS unit because they're all
Yeah.
ranged in one
Right.
turn.
I mean, the all Archer team hypothetically could be this DPS team.
I've been looking at an Archer Berserker, like a full Archer Berserker team.
Yeah, it's interesting.
With Giant Slayer, double clutch on all of them
Yeah.
pop living rage turn 1, and then just snipe the crap out of the DPS.
Well, there's a build. we'll keep scrolling, but I do want to just comment quickly, and I'm forgetting what I was gonna say,
So sorry.
and that is okay. I think if you guys, I know the Bogside guys did a little bit, but Hearthstone, obviously very different games. You know, as a card game versus this is going to be a lot more strategy, but the meta has phases where the aggressive teams, the all face damage teams, at least in Hearthstone is what we called it, like they saw their time come and go, and then the meta would change to be anti-aggressive, you know. And so I think if this all damage team becomes popular, I think it's very quickly you'll see a counter meta, you know, react to it, which I'm so excited about. I'm so excited just to have a meta within the game because I'm very excited to see any one of these succeed, and then also to see the counter, you know, succeed after it, and then to be like, what beats that, you know, etc. And I think that's so much fun that I'm excited about.
Well, I think metas are going to be interesting in general, right? Because and maybe Hearthstone's a bad example and things like that.
It's a tough comparison right now, just because.
Well,
yeah.
no, because what I was going to say was that in other games where you kind of have access to all assets or most assets, you can ride a meta pretty quickly, right?
Right.
Even in a game like Hearthstone and a game like Gods Unchained, there are enough cards that do certain things that, like, yeah, I can make say poison is the meta. I don't know.
Sure.
I can have enough cards that do that. If the meta becomes certain heroes, it's, you know, say it becomes a thief meta. I might not have a thief that's PvP ready. So I think there could be this scenario where we have multiple metas going on at a time. It's like,
Right.
yeah, one's better, but like these are mostly the different builds that get used.
Yeah, that's
I think
exactly right.
Or sorry, wow, you go.
He said that's exactly right. So
That point done right there.
We need to just are we recording this? Because we need to just get all these Wowee telling us we're right. Anyways, but I agree with that. Like, my only hesitation would be, I highly doubt, and I hope I'm proven wrong here, I highly doubt it's going to be one specific class is the meta. I feel like it's going to be evasion is the meta, or toxic is the meta. It's not going to be
mechanic.
It's not going to be like thieves specifically are the meta.
Sure.
I think it's going to be, and in that case, that's super interesting then, because there could be effects on the marketplace and on how certain heroes are valued. You know, heroes that do better with toxic or do worse with toxic are may or may not. You know, I think that's a super fun aspect of the Web3 kind of aspect of this, of the blockchain-ness of it, of if there is a changing meta, that we will see it reflected in the marketplace. And I think that is super exciting for me, just because it's like, I've never seen that in a game ever, you know, end of sentence. Like, that's never existed.
yeah, I mean, just think about if say toxic becomes the meta, any heroes that have toxic with summons left are gold.
Yes, yeah.
Or
So, like,
any heroes that got double stalwart.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
wow.
yeah.
Stalwart's one that I feel like we never kind of talk about, and
Yeah,
it's so specific.
I know.
Whereas something like Fearless, something like Chatterbox,
Yeah.
that to me is more overarching.
It's easier for us to understand those ones where we don't know how much poison is going to be involved right now, you know? So it's hard to say you need an anti-poison, because we don't know if poison is going to be in it at all, you know?
And in a given game, you might not,
Yeah.
you know? Do we want to talk about Toxic right now? Because we haven't
We
yet.
never talked about toxic.
Right. That's what, when you said
We were
this was
supposed
the
to-
last topic, I looked down, I have like four more.
We forgot to talk about toxic.
So-
Okay, I have to run to the
Toxic?
bathroom. You take it over. Can you take it over, friends?
As
Yeah,
long as
Wowie's
you,
got it.
Oh,
yeah.
Wowee, you host the show, Wowee. I got to go to the
Yeah.
bathroom.
Right.
Welcome to Bogside.
Yeah, no, but
What were we gonna
but
do?
Toxic,
Oh,
you know, we have all kind of went through this difference of opinion with Toxic, and Wowee, I think you kind of set the pace for it in your first ever stream, right, where you were doing the initial grades, and yeah, I'll let you talk through it, what Workhorse's initial reaction was and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, no, Toxic has been a topic of discussion for quite some time. my initial rating was extremely low, and that was, I mean, specifically due to the low percentage, right? I mean, toxic for everyone who isn't aware yet is for each instance of damage a hero does, that damaging instance has a 2% chance to apply the poison condition. Now, I heard recently that I understood that wrong from Grady. And Workhorse, if you're still here and have any clarifications for this, I mean, I'm all about it. But for how it's written right now, that means that any damaging instance from an attack, an ability, and a spell, a basic attack, a follow-up attack, an additional bonus to an attack, like if you're doing a basic attack and then you get like +5 fire damage, like both of those have a 2% instance. And burn and bleed effects also are considered damaging instances. So all of these small instances have a 2% chance, but for my own tastes, 2% is not enough to make like, this is one of those things where it's like, it's so hard to balance because it's either way too strong or it just doesn't happen nearly enough. With toxic at 2%, there's a 98% chance per damaging instance that nothing's going to happen and your trait does nothing, right? I mean, that's the way I looked at it to begin with. And you'd be better served with, you know, stuff like Foresight, where I've got evasion right now every time I get attacked, or even with Duelist was higher rated to me because, I mean, even though that's hard to pull off, you still get something if it's there, right? But you're not guaranteed to ever proc Toxic in an entire match, right? You have to succeed on a 1d50 roll. You know, every 100 instances of attack that your one guy does is only 2 of them out of 100 attacks is expected to proc a Toxic.
Now, what if you have a double Poison Blade, double Toxic?
No, double Toxic is a completely different story. Poison Blade almost completely removes the need for Toxic.
Yeah, they don't interact very well, to be honest.
Right, because the poison condition doesn't stack.
Yeah.
Well, no, it does.
Well, it does in its own mechanic. So the poison
it does
condition,
by itself. Not like you can't double up though.
Yeah. So what I
if you
was
could have
gonna
more
say,
than one poison, that'd be pretty cool.
What I was going to say, Sir Worm just said this, and
well, okay.
I went and read the poison definition, and I think that's where maybe.
Well, so actually, Wowee, I think right now we are kind of waiting for a clarification, right?
Yeah, we're in like this weird limbo right now because for everybody who doesn't know the poison condition, I'll go ahead and read it out real quick.
Yeah.
When you are poisoned, it's a poisoned condition, which is a debuff on the character who is afflicted with it. And what happens is at the beginning of that hero's turn, it gets dealt physical damage, and that damage accelerates over time. And the damage is equal to 2% of the hero's maximum HP at the beginning of each round. That's what the damage equals.
Right.
Each round or turn that it persists gains an additional stack that does 2% more damage. So the next, if you're poisoned with for one turn, you take 2% damage at the start of your turn. If you're poisoned for 2 turns, you're taking 4% of your max HP and damage. If you're poisoned for 3 turns, you're taking 6%, etc., etc.
What about 4 turns?
4 turns? Now we're getting crazy.
Or is it 2, 4, 6?
But yeah, it's leading up by 2%
right,
each
turn. But didn't they say Workhorse said that there's going to be a clarification coming soon,
right?
As well as, so based on what I'm hearing from you guys, Toxic doesn't stack. It's just
that was going to be my question.
Poison is a yes/no statement.
Right. Yeah, no, we have bleeds that are confirmed to stack. We've got burn that is confirmed to stack. Poison has never been ever confirmed to stack, which leads me to believe that there is only one instance of the poisoned condition, and the mechanic of the poison condition is that the damage ramps up per turn.
The longer you're poisoned, the more.
So that's sort of where we're at right now. But Workhorse has said that a clarification is coming. He wants to write like a full blog before he just kind of says things.
Clarification could be that each new instance of poison acts as a 1-turn accelerant.
That
Because that would
or-
change my
Yeah,
opinion.
that would make sense.
It's either that or the chance to hit changes in some way.
What do you mean?
And I cannot clarify any more than that.
And you have to
Okay,
remember, this
moving on.
also goes through your opponent's effect resistance.
Right. Because if you have double stalwart, I mean, we don't know the formula exactly how it works, but it should just be a 1-to-1 in terms of.
You say that as if we almost know. We have no idea how it works. We don't know exactly. You know,
We're close to cracking it, let me tell you.
you could just start plugging things into ChatGPT, see if that.
All right, so I walked away for like 2 seconds, but in essence, we got the definition down, and you said your initial, and still kind of to this day, it seems like your rankings are pretty low for Toxic by itself.
True, by itself. I
Like
mean, if
in a
you've got-
vacuum. In a vacuum.
Yes, in a
Yeah.
vacuum, completely by itself, Toxic is not rated high, and it's specifically, I think, because it's, like I said before, it's such a hard ability to balance around this
agree.
condition. Because, like, if it's 8%, it's broken.
Mm-hmm.
If it's 1 or 2%,
Well, it's 4%. Double Toxic might
double
be
toxic is
untouchable.
honestly in its own
Yeah.
realm. Yes, double toxic is absolutely incredible.
Right.
All you have to do is stack attacks. That's all you're trying to do if you've got double toxic, is however many damaging instances you could
And I
possibly
think-
pile into one
I mean,
character.
I think we've talked about this at length, but like Archer, Berserker, Warrior has a lot of like multi-hit moves. You know, shoot
Oh,
off,
yeah.
multi-shot is an Archer move.
multi-shot. My basic attack warrior build.
Yep.
Yes,
Yes,
which is
it
a
does like
warrior
more and more
berserker.
basic attacks. Yep.
Yeah, and it has like every basic attack is a chance to deal another basic attack. So
Right,
it's like
right.
you're just ramping a ton of attacks into one turn.
Right. So like there are some basic abilities that even with a single Toxic and sorry. So let me, before I go on this, I would say I was in a similar boat as you, Wowee. I think when I first read this and looking at it at a vacuum, I thought it was not as strong as some of the other advanced, as some of the other abilities. I didn't love it so much, and I definitely ranked it lowest of the advances, you know. And I think now that I've seen these skill trees, I am giving it a little bit more credit. I am bumping it up a little bit. I still think like the full leadership team and the full intimidation team is better, you know, better advanced skills. I'd rather have a team of 3 leaderships and 3 intimidations
Well, there's your
than
consistency.
Toxic. Yeah, but I think originally I was kind of dismissing Toxic as a waste of time, but now I think on the right hero, I think it has a lot of value.
I mean, that's
Or
100%
maybe a lot of value. Maybe I'm being dramatic there when I say a lot of value. I think it has value on the right build.
So like we're talking about in a vacuum, right? But
Yeah.
when you're talking about like, okay, how many times am I going to be able to do this, right? So number one, it's a 2% chance, which means it's a 98% chance to not proc on every single attack, which is pretty damn. I mean, that's past. That's a pretty good grade if I were to get that in the collegiate
That's
paper.
higher than 97%.
Definitely at least one higher.
I'm glad you laughed at that. I'm glad you see these two don't laugh at those jokes that I make anymore. They don't laugh at those anymore.
But you're also going against so you're going to go against a commonly targeted person, right, for basic attacks or anything that's not going to
Sure.
have a range above 1. You're going into a tank, which is probably going to have a high endurance, which means it's going to have a high effect resistance, which means even if you get your chance to throw a Toxic out, it can still be resisted,
Oh,
or
yeah.
it can be missed and not even get a chance to go out there when it activates. There's so many things against the poisoned condition for a
Right.
2% chance to
Right.
really do anything like substantial here. And I mean, I think I threw in a fix idea a while ago, which was like Toxic needs to have its own separate form of poison mechanic rather than go off of the poison mechanic that's already out there. Like Toxic has to have its
Yeah.
own build up where, like, you know, it either does like a bonus damage instantly at a 2% chance, but a pretty like semi-substantial one. Like 20% of the damage dealt 2% of the time is just added on as poison damage.
Right.
Like that would be fine. I think that would be
Or
fantastic.
it has some sort of different formula in terms of how it works in the mechanics.
Right.
Versus, say, like Thief is the one we've seen who's I think has the most poison. I don't think anybody else really. Was there an Archer move with poison? No.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So Thief had a couple poison moves that was just kind of like X
You got
percent
his
chance.
Doom Ninja.
Oh yeah, and again, I would assume ninja. but,
Archer
like,
does. Archer does.
Archer does. Okay, but I'm assuming those are written as X% chance to poison. Is how those moves were written out.
No, the Archer, remember, in the very beginning was not any chance. Every single one of theirs was a do this and this happens.
Oh, it's poison target enemy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's poison target enemy. Like, it's guaranteed.
Yeah,
However,
wow,
we can't say guaranteed because this was before the additional mechanics were taken into consideration. This is likely going to get a rework like the Berserker did.
But that actually is interesting. But in general, though, there is a process that's different than toxic as to applying poison. Is what I was trying to say. Is like there's a different mechanic. Sort of the thief. I'm pretty sure it just is X% chance to poison on a couple of the moves.
Yes.
So I think what you're saying, I think makes a whole lot of sense, is let's create toxic as an entirely different definition, and that while it's maybe not poison, it's like a toxic, it's a whole different mechanic than poison, and applies differently and does more or less damage.
Yeah, I mean,
and it has a different. I think that would make that move much stronger / work out more in different builds.
Like, honestly, another way they could do it is just like applies a debuff for a duration of like 3 that deals 5% of your target's max HP over the duration every turn. You know what I mean? Now you got like a 15%.
And then it ends afterwards. So it's not the whole rest of the
But those could stack.
Ooh,
right?
It would be fun. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So each instance could stack another level of poison, but they have a duration that's not going to stack indefinitely.
Okay, so all right, we got to wrap this up because
I was gonna say we're getting a little too far in the weeds here. I can say with confidence after this conversation that I am not sure if I like toxic more or less than when we started. I don't know if you guys agree, and I would love to hear from the chat if your opinion changed for the better or for the worse on toxic.
I think final comment I want to say is that if you have a hero that has double toxic, there are, no matter what their class or subclass is, there are moves that are going to be successful for you. I think almost every class has at least one move where there's kind of multiple hits, even if it's only 2, in one attack.
Right.
I still think that having double toxic makes that hero a strong hero almost no matter what. I know it's a bold claim, but
down to like, what do you build around? Do you build around your rarity? Do you build around class? Do you build around your holy trinity of combinations? Do you build around the abilities on your card? Like, there's so many different paths you can go down as to like, hey, what am I going to focus on that'll determine the rest of my 3-man team?
I think Vibes figured it out. I think that's just how we gotta go with it. It's not a bad strategy at all.
I mean, it's very true. I mean, the way I've heard him talk about toxic, and the way he talks about it is very like, I'm afraid of how good it is.
Yeah.
He's like I'm not sure if he's bullish, but he's like more afraid of toxic.
Well, it's a classic The Office, Do you want to be loved or feared?
I want them to fear how much.
I want to fear how much they love me. Yeah, exactly. All right. So that's toxic. I think we're going to talk about it more and more forever. I think general thesis is, and Wowee, correct me if I'm wrong, I initially thought it was like the worst, and now I'm thinking in the right scenario, it could be very strong.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
but hold on. You would agree with my saying of like, I thought it was the worst, and now it's upgraded from there. Like,
yes, I originally gave it an F. The current rating is a C,
which is extremely low for you.
It is extremely low for me.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that on any of the actual hero.
I was holding back super hard on the trait ratings because I wanted to make them as fair as humanly possible, because I was doing everything, like you said, in a vacuum. Right. This is the rating I would give them. But yeah, as it stands right now, I'm giving Toxic a C. I mean, I'm not won over in either direction. It has the same rating as Duelist right now for me, because Duelist is just so niche and it really doesn't give you that much. Yeah. So I mean, like, that's where it stands for me. I don't see me changing my opinion on it until a lot of testing has been done.
Agreed.
So before I think you get back into it, I'm just gonna keep interrupting you the rest of the night when
That's
you
the
try
whole
to
point.
change
That's the
things.
whole point. That's what we're doing here.
I think going back to what we were saying before about metas, I think this message right here is why it's going to be very hard
And who said that?
to.
Who said this message?
This is Sticks.
Luke?
Why
anyway.
does it say intern? Is he an intern or who is he?
The intern's typing for Sticks. This is Sticks' thought.
got it.
Okay.
We have to
Behalf
spread
of
all of
Sticks.
it to Sticks. No. But I think this is kind of a key point when we're talking about metas and how they kind of develop, right? This is what most of I would say there are some of us that are buying a ton of heroes and really thinking hard about this and might have multiple builds that, multiple different teams, but a large portion of the community is going to be doing this. Strategy is built around a single best hero I have. It's going to be
No question.
interesting to see how metas develop when that's kind of the game plan. Like, is it going to be worth, if there's a certain meta, is it going to be worth kind of having your other two heroes be a lower rarity or even maybe a lower level to fit into a meta? Or is it going to be a lot of just, I'll call it button mashing. It's not really, but like just going with your best three and just taking off.
I think it's interesting.
I don't know.
And I do want to talk about that in a little bit. I have a build that I want to talk about that. But let's keep going with these team builds, and that subject that you're talking about will come up very much so in the big boy build that I have a little bit later. But this one is super fun. This one is the Bolon build here.
The Trollon.
Ooh,
The
I like
Trollon.
that. I like that a lot.
So we've seen these skill trees, and we know that like the seer fucks with the game. It messes with what you're viewing. It takes turns away from you. The all seer team, is it going to be viable, or is it just going to be a troll fun kind of like YouTube videos later of like, oh, this guy trolled me with a seer team.
He's still lost, but look at
Yeah,
what
exactly.
he did.
Yeah. No thoughts. All right.
No, I think I think it could be. I think I lean
just
towards
patting
the.
himself on the back.
I said it last week. Compliment me. You're going to get on the screen very quickly. No, I think the all priest team is the troll that I see. The seer is still above my head. I haven't been able to kind of rationalize how I would even play it, and I'm not going to try until there's alpha for me to actually test it.
What, the all priest?
No, the all seer. So I'm saying the all
Yeah.
priest team has that kind of mechanic, and
The all
Wowee
priest
helped me
is
out
like,
here.
I know I'm gonna lose, but you're gonna have to devote 35 minutes of your life to me.
to killing me. Right, because you can keep resurrecting and keep.
Yes.
Or you could take the L and you save us both an hour.
Get half an hour back.
Right.
Well,
that-
I mean,
there was a Gods Unchained build that
yes.
when we were
talked
playing
about
that,
this. Yeah.
where you were hold on. And
There
we
were
go.
WoW builds too in PvP that it was like
No, there was
healer.
there was a Hearthstone update. This was like 2 years ago, where like some card came out that was like redo every death rattle that has been played this game. And it ended up the games ended up being like a half an hour long because it took 20 minutes to like replay every death rattle or whatever. And it was fucking miserable. And like you might have been in a good position to win, but you just didn't want to sit there for 10 minutes and watch these moves happen. Like it was a nightmare. And so I think while I don't know if they'll be consistently winning, like the counter troll build is a legit build, I think.
There will always
like
be
fucking with your
trolls.
opponent is 100% a viable strategy,
It's never a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, Vibe said triple scholar. I'm actually very interested to see what scholar can do, and because I think scholar is going to be a support / mitigation. Like they're not going to do direct damage. They're going to be. Come on.
I think they're going to be all rounders.
Yeah, they're
honestly.
All
you think they'll be-
rounders? What do you mean?
think they could deal damage?
So
I mean,
all right. So here's the spell casting we've seen so far has been damage dealers, healers, and utility support. Right. I think that they're going to have a sprinkling of all three. Like they're going to be capable of doing all three. Because they're scholars. They're well read.
look at this motherfucker from the rafters. Are you kidding me?
I hope he's enjoying himself.
Oh, of
because-
course he is. Of
because
course he
that-
is. Are you
That is
kidding
a
me?
messed up comment.
I hope scholars are ranged physical attackers where they're just throwing books across the battlefield.
I hope, yeah. Throw the book. Better be some flavor text somewhere.
Throw the book at
That
him,
was
Jim.
great. That was
All right. I put all pirate on this list too because the pirate, the pirate capstone. Although I just got news that the name is changing. They're not going to be called capstones anymore.
What are they going to be called?
They're going to be called Wowies.
Oh,
Wait,
yes,
what?
I saw that tweet.
The level 15,
Level 15
moves. The
moves.
level 15 moves are now called Wowies.
Wait, is that what he said we're going to be called?
Is that
Wowies?
it? I thought it was the tier 6s, which are the 10 pluses.
Oh, the 10 plus.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lame. It should be the 15.
They
Whatever.
didn't check. They didn't check with you first.
They
before-
didn't check with me. They didn't check with me.
Unbelievable. I'm shocked by that.
Yeah,
Oh.
tier 6s
Ridiculous.
Are the 10 pluses. Those are the pink ones that I
Well,
put
now-
out.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to push the alpha back a week now because Maddie vetoed that. They have to go back to the drawing board.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Maddie,
Yeah.
say psych. Say psych right now.
Psych, I guess. Also, no. But the pirate has a very unique luck addition, or not luck. That's the wrong way to put it. But his D20, adding his plus D20 to any of his previous rolls makes him just a massive troll. Because so many of his moves are like roll a D20 and something happens. And now his pirate move gives him a bonus on that. Like the all pirate team is going to be such a troll team, and I hate it.
Can you call that troll though? I mean-
Yes, because it's
Because of
all
the
RNG.
RNG.
It's all
Yeah.
RNG, and he has an advantage
All right, you
on
don't
his
yell at me.
RNG.
You
And
don't
it's just
yell at me. I
like
can't wait.
oh, I hate it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just put it there because I honestly don't think. Oh boy, workhorse. This honestly, I've talked to Wowee, and he seems like a good dude, but this is all going right to his head.
I'm
It's going all
blushing
right to his
so
head,
hard
you know?
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, his
I
face
am
is
so
pink. Look at him.
bashful.
Yeah. His face is super pink.
It's a real picture of me.
And then this one is shout out to Bolon, the all priest. He's talked about doing this. They all just sacrifice themselves, and that's the end of the battle.
You know, all
First
thief at this
move.
point is actually a pretty interesting build right now too.
The what?
All
Thief?
thief is actually a pretty interesting build right now too. With that, like, all thieves get this bonus on your allies.
Right?
Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
huge.
Would be very interesting. All right.
So wait, true or false?
Yeah.
Ooh, another one.
A pirate, because I didn't want to like interrupt things for this, but
No, that's fine. Yeah.
You know, the thief was just brought up.
Yeah.
The pirate is the best subclass for a thief or an archer, besides pure subclasses.
Ooh. For what role?
So wait. So, I disagree.
Everything procs off dexterity or luck for the most
Right.
part.
You know, honestly, I'm gonna say it. Like, I love pirate subclass for thief so much. I'm gonna go ahead and say true for like exactly what the intended thought was for the thief. Pirate just completely backs it up.
I
excited.
understand that. However, I think for thief, I would rather have the archer and shroud and more fucking evasion.
You like Shroud, we get it.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
Can we-
good.
can-
Shroud is good.
Can-
You can't
can
deny
we-
that. Shroud
Can we
is good.
nerf Shroud just to hurt
I
Maddie,
mean-
please?
Fine,
Please
do it.
don't.
Yeah.
Don't nerf Shroud.
Do it.
Like it's that good. I think I understand what you're saying, and I'm not like pirate is
All
still
right,
an amazing.
my
subclass.
argument is more based off the confluence of the stats and stuff like that. You have one move you like. Yes, I get it. You
For
can say
subclass though,
Berserker
for
sub,
subclass, that's what you want though.
I
You
do
want that
think
one
it's
good
gonna be
move
the
to
ultimate subclass,
But
though.
synergy.
I'll disagree because, and I've said this before, with the reason I don't like the capstone moves is because the value of a subclass before these capstones showed up was the confluence of the stat. So now you have that. So now you're having the higher stat growth, and now you're adding in with the pirate these, or I mean, you could say thief subclass too, and that's why when I was asking it, I was hoping nobody called me out on that. But the idea that you can now buff those key stats even more.
Well, the thief like stealing moves or
The thief
Yeah.
stealing it, you
Yeah.
know, thief as a subclass on an archer with it, even if it's not a dex build, if it's a luck build, right?
I mean,
'Cause
even the
archer
level
has
ones on pirate are exactly what thief wants.
Right. I mean, there's the
Yeah.
RNG with
No,
that, but
yeah.
yeah.
I still.
And so Ogre called out the other caveat.
Oh, yeah,
there.
obviously,
Ninja's
yeah.
gonna be better
Yeah,
than
yeah.
any of these for
Well,
subclass. For I
I
think
hope
Archer
so.
subclass,
Yeah.
or for Archer main class. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Give me a Thief Dread. I'll be happy.
Oh, excuse us. Yeah.
Big
Yeah,
yikes.
just Steve that.
All right. Those
That's
are the
easy.
troll like fun ones. We're gonna start getting creative here. I call this one big boy.
Oh, you use the eye on, but that's very Gen Z
Yeah.
of you.
One big boy. So 2 priests that sacrifice themselves. So they do their sacrifice move. So they immediately die. And they boost up one either Berserker, Dark Knight, Goon, or Dread Knight. What do you
Like a
guys think of
boss
one
battle.
big boy as a build?
Well,
I love this
for-
build.
Well, for our friends listening at home that don't know what the sacrifice move does,
Sure.
Yeah,
Maddie's
just look
talking
it up.
about Divine Martyr,
Mhm.
which is you sacrifice your priest, right? And this completely kills the unit. You no longer have it anymore.
He's dead.
However, all allied heroes gain several effective buffs in HP, Wisdom, Intelligence, and Vitality equal to X, where X equals the percent of missing HP relative to the priest's
So if you
base
do it-
stat value.
So wait,
If you do it turn 1, it's 100%.
so
Yeah.
what I'm picturing is that turn. All right, so turn 1.
Mm-hmm. I know where you're going, and I agree with
let's
everything you're
just
about to say.
Berserker
I agree
goes
with
first.
everything you're about to say.
I'm going to use Living Rage on my Berserker.
Mhm.
So it buffs him up big and takes him down to 1 health for X turns. All
Well,
I need is one more turn.
I wouldn't do it.
All I
wouldn't
need is one
open
more
with
turn.
that, but go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill a priest, buff him up, kill a priest, buff him up. Then I'm going to use my advanced ability of Explosion on the next turn for a super buffed up AoE. Game
Yes.
over.
I mean,
and
that
you're in
that
Discord
is
saying, "Fuck
The
friends."
2-turn game.
I mean,
so,
that is
so
the
far,
idea.
I'm liking it.
What's
Yeah.
the chess move that it's like
He's got clutch
3
too.
moves and you win?
Like suckers checkmate, like the 4
Yeah.
move checkmate. Yeah. No, I think the point with that is I would wait on the Living Rage because he's going to be your only guy. So
But
like
also,
you-
like, don't we have health potions that you can go full health potion? So you could do this in like turn 6. Get your
exactly.
priest back
Yes.
to full
Yes.
health,
hmm
then immediately sacrifice the priest, and now you've got the beefed up berserker that hopefully at that point the opposing team's not at full health.
Well, also think about a turn 1 setup, right? Where your berserker uses Bloodlust, which deals damage to itself and increases its basic attack power, right? And then you've got one priest that does Prayer of Might plus on your berserker, increasing its strength super far, and your other priest slaps on a death mark on somebody to guarantee you a kill, and then on the next following turns they divine martyr themselves and you pop your Living Rage
It's
with your double clutch.
insane.
With
Well, I
your
mean,
double
double clutch.
Guys,
double
yeah,
clutch or
that-
double duelist?
Double
Well,
clutch.
well,
is
no,
not
because if
outrageous
they have a
double
full
duelist.
team, duelist doesn't. Come
Oh,
into
it's
play.
1v1.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Guys, this is gonna be so much fun once the alpha's out. We need to get back on this stream.
Oh my
and
god,
do,
yeah.
and do all of this just with live.
Well,
gameplay
I
going
would
on.
love to do this as like I'll build a dummy team for you just to do these moves on. It'd be fun to like just see it happen. You
I've
know?
seen your heroes. I'll be okay.
Wow!
I went there.
Okay,
went there.
okay.
Ooh, Rubetto, what is a Condi setup? Condi setup.
Conditional. So maybe fucking
Oh,
with your
conditional setups.
like putting something on him like blindness. Like
Oh,
putting,
yeah, no.
putting blindness on the big boy could be it could be
Ooh.
bad.
Yeah,
Well,
that would be
now we get back to evasion. What
Mhm.
Big Boy
Exactly.
can't
Well,
get,
exactly. Yeah,
especially if you're using Living Rage.
But double clutch, you know, obviously you can't use the foresight in those roles, but
No. The big boy wouldn't have double clutch in this, or double foresight. I'm saying if your opponent's team has double foresight or
right.
has high
Evasion.
evasion.
Oh, that's a good
You're
point, yeah.
completely
You
countered by
miss.
evasion.
well,
Hopefully they get blinded.
that's super interesting for the big boy setup. He's going to be doing one swing on his turn, like one attack on his turn, and if you can dodge it, you know, you might win, especially if both priests are dead at that point, you know. I think the one big boy team build is very dangerous
And
and
I
could
think
and, like it's interesting
I
and
like
it's
it.
fun, but it's like it's very risky, I think.
All right.
I think the other half of this too that's interesting is the double heal team.
two priests who don't die
Yeah.
and just
I now have
They heal themselves up and then go
Yeah.
for the kill. Yeah, I like that.
one of our viewers is now sending me. I'm basically being trolled in Discord. He's just sending me his heroes for these builds to show me that he's going to do this to me and it's going to hurt. Not just to me. To
What viewer is
everybody.
that? What viewer is that? Is that pouring?
I don't know if he wants me to say who it is. I will, but it's not pouring.
He's basically building these builds to beat you, which
Yeah,
I
he
appreciate
said,
very much.
He said, "Hey, that Berserker priest build. Let me show you something." And now he's starting to send me heroes.
Ooh.
I'm not happy.
I do want to say something to Worm here because he's saying if Priest has Second Life or the Big Boy has Resurrection, total OP. I agree with that because that's exactly what I thought was the literal first thing I thought of when we were talking about this build. And Workhorse did tell us that a sacrifice means you do not get that unit back.
Wait, say that
Oh,
again. I stopped
come
paying
on.
attention.
Hold on.
Yes. So when we were doing our priest run through, Workhorse was very specific about sacrifice, most likely not allowing you to resurrect.
So sacrifice is kind of a different category of death, if you
Right.
will.
Fainted
Like it's
versus death.
not
Super
eligible
death.
for
Right.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, that changes things slightly.
It does
So
change.
I just wanted to throw that out there
Yeah.
in case anyone was thinking about some big boy builds of their own.
some one
Yeah,
big
before
boy.
people head to the tavern.
Because I'm in the middle of buying.
All right, wow. This one is one you've been talking about. The stall, and I put counter because it's kind of they're all kind of built in the same though. This is a build that is not necessarily going to deal damage, but it's support or heals or other mitigation that just sort of wear your opponent down. I mean, until they run out of their stats, but also when they're mentally broken too. So Wowee, talk to me about the stall build that you've been thinking at.
Yeah, so stall comps are they're pretty staple in a lot of these turn-based games,
Right.
where they are just they just wear you down, right? And they just make games last a really long time for almost no reason. But the
Yes.
aim is to have your opponent utilize all of their resources in the early and mid game while you try and just keep yourself alive and ready for combat in the late game when they've run out of ability to answer you. So this can be done with almost anything, really. You could do this with your Holy Trinity, right? You could use a tank and a healer.
Yep.
You could do this with the big boy comp and just stall into the very end when they don't have anything left, and now you've just got this gigantic extreme berserker, right? You could do this with your all DPS team if all of their subs are knights and priests. You know what I mean?
Yep.
This is all about mitigating
Well,
as much damage as possible and undoing the effort of your opponent to last as long as possible. Stall comps are countered by things like poison, where that damage ramps up the longer they waste time, which is their entire game.
I would say though, I would say from what we've seen, I think Seer, Pirate, the kind of more support are more likely to be part of one of these builds versus your kind of Archer Warrior who are like basic.
Oh yeah, this is your evasion
swing
comp.
hard guy. Yeah,
Those are
this is
physical
one-
damage.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
Many effects type of thing.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
there are effects, but yeah.
This is 100% where your evasion team's going to come in.
Right, yeah.
This right here, stall comp can literally be 3 ninjas.
yes.
Right.
Well, I mean,
Three-
assuming Ninja has some of these moves that we've seen with
So
evasion
3
and stuff
ninjas
like
with
that,
like
yeah.
90% evasion on each
Yeah,
of themselves,
yeah.
right? That are just like circling. Maybe each of them got like some sort of a smoke bomb, which increases the team-wide evasion by a certain amount, and they all got
mean,
double foresight.
We've
You know
seen
what I
Pocket
mean?
Sand, Smoke Bomb makes sense.
Right?
I
I'm just
love that
saying.
I love that he threw pocket sand. in
Pocket
there as
Sand. The flavor text Workhorse. If you're still listening, the flavor text has just been I love it so much.
Yeah, we need to go back
Texas
and
staple.
add all that for the rest. But yeah, the idea of evasion and just kind of adding to a stall comp or just the idea of mentally breaking the opponent. There's nothing more frustrating than your moves missing.
Oh,
Like
my God.
at least if there's a stall comp on the other side that like keeps healing or keeps mitigating my damage, at least I can respect that. If I'm just missing all of my attacks, I'm like in throwing my computer mode, which I won't actually throw it, but I like act like I do just
Yeah.
even for my own gratification. Yeah, it's brutal. So going up against Foresight, I think, is going to be
it's going to be interesting
tough.
because it's going to be completely countered by high accuracy, right? And accuracy is going to be something that's going to be completely obtainable. You've got your spell bows, you've got your archers,
Yep.
and even warriors have high decks.
Yeah.
Like, and I
mean,
think that we're going to see
pirates do too.
end game wise. I think I brought this up before, but end game wise, we're going to see like evasion chances in like 120%, 150% evasion, right? But we're also going to see accuracy ratings of like I'm accurate to like 130%, right?
Wow, we said no formulas. We'll do formulas on a different stream.
Well, effectively, you're going to have so much dex compared to how much evasion they have.
There you go.
Right?
Perfect. Just say that. Yeah.
That's
There
going to
you
be over the 100% margin.
Right.
That it's effectively going to balance back out, and you're going to see like, okay, this is a 30% evasion rate now because I brought my accuracy set. I think you're going to have accuracy on your weapons and your gear.
Well, and then, well, see, I feel
over.
like that's such an interesting choice though that you'll have to make is you have two loadouts hypothetically. That's all you get is two loadouts. One of them is your high accuracy. One of them is high defense. One of them is, or hypothetically, it could be accuracy. It could be defense. It could be damage. It could be like you'll have an infinite amount of loadout potentials, and you have to choose what those two are. And I just love that idea. I think, God, this game's gonna be so fucking cool. I'm so excited.
It is gonna be cool. Like, there's so many options here. Like, I mean, just think about it. Like the role. Like, you got to think about the role and what you want that role to do. If you're going Holy Trinity, okay, I've got a tank. What are my two sets going to be? A physical damage reducer, right? And then maybe an effect resistance, magic defense set.
Well, that's the knight. The knight can do that. Yeah, I love it.
Wait, can I actually, I don't want to cut it off yet if you guys had more there, but I think this rolls into kind of another topic. So we just went over a lot of different builds.
Yeah.
A lot of us have a lot of heroes and are thinking about, I have, just to add one to this, I have one that I'm naming the Poison Patrol. It's going to be 3 double toxics. I have 2 out of 3 so far.
Yeah.
Yikes.
But so like we're all planning these different things. How many builds, how many teams, squads, whatever you want to call them, do you think that you can manage realistically? I'm butchering the end of this question. Now I'm trailing off. But do you understand what I'm saying?
Like, all right, so
there's
like
only a set amount of time in the day. There's only a set amount of time that you can play in this game.
What we know so far is that stamina is used for combat. But let's say you have an infinite amount of stamina pots. What is the maximum number of teams you could be battling every single day? I mean, it could be 8 hours just constantly battling every single day. I mean, I don't think there's anything stopping that other than like real life obligations. I mean, is that your question?
Other than real life obligations, that's a pretty large kind of
jobs.
You mentioned that
eating, drinking, going to the bathroom.
So if you want to play an hour a day, is that 1 team? Is that 3 teams? Is that 5 teams?
I think it might depend on your flavor, right? Like, okay, I've used this one a couple times now, and I've been going with the so a lot with competitive gaming is about what time of day you're playing, right?
That's a good point.
And like a lot of the like you usually don't want to be playing like right around 6 p.m. to like 9 p.m. because that's when all of the like super famous streamers are gone. That's when all the kids are online.
That's when the normies get off work.
The super famous streamers.
Yeah.
That's
right. That's when the 15. Yeah, that's us. That's when we're going to be demolishing everybody. That's when the 15-year-olds are going to be online after doing their homework and they're just completely taking me to the cleaners. So like when you're getting onto your timing, like, okay, what's the meta of this block of time, right? Are people going stall comps? I would doubt it because people are wanting to go real quick and real fast. Probably going to roll a lot of DPS comps, a lot of like double DPS healer, a lot of tank DPS. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of people wanting to go a lot faster. And then, I mean, you could be like, okay, these ones aren't working now. I'm going to switch over to this team.
Okay, I think that is 100% true, and there will be some time frames. However, I want to emphasize, when this game goes live, there is going to be a population that fucking is playing 8 hours a day every day. Like it's just going to exist. Like I'm telling you, they're like King Baka. Does he have a day job?
No, I think this is his day job.
Exactly. Like, there's going to be people, and I don't want to say Crypto Grady, but I kind of want to say Crypto Grady. It's just going to play constantly. And Grady, I love you, and I want to watch that.
He's done it with
fucking
Fight
stream
Club.
it, Grady. I'll love it. But like, there's going to be individuals who are playing this game 24/7 who have either the heroes to do it every single minute or have the stampots to make sure that their heroes do it every single minute. I think, and while it's not going to be a majority, it is going to be a population of the game that is able to just constantly be playing.
I'm also curious if anyone's done the math of how many questing heroes do you need to support your PvP heroes to make sure every single match you go in with potions and whatnot.
This was a conversation that Maddie and I had with Sticks Intern on Twitter recently.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
About
I think I'm convinced by your argument, Franz. You're right. Like, everybody is going to need items. There isn't
you
a build.
knocked out a bit there.
Franz was right and I was wrong.
Got it. We heard you that time. Thanks.
And everybody is going to need items to some degree. I mean, there might be some teams that benefit more or less, but like, everybody needs items and everyone's going to use items, especially because it's free.
And
quote,
especially
unquote.
at higher tiers. At
Yeah.
the lower tiers, maybe you can get by just on the idea that we're sitting here talking about all these skills and what they do, and someone else might just be like, oh, cool, I have an archer, let me go shoot some arrows,
Yeah, exactly.
But higher tiers competitive play,
Yes. Everyone's going to use items, especially because they're free. I mean, I don't think there's anyone who's... Well, I mean, maybe. I don't know. Wowee, do you see a scenario where there's anybody who could successfully compete without items?
I don't see why you would want to compete without
Exactly.
items.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're absolutely dominating the competition, I probably wouldn't need them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you had level 20s and you haven't tiered up to the next level or whatever, like, you're still in a low tier for some reason, yeah, you don't need items. You could just fucking stomp on your opponent. But I mean, eventually when we get to a competitive level, there is almost no reason, especially because they're free, again, and I define free as don't take up your action round. There is a cost in terms of your budget and stuff like that. But in terms of your turn, like, you can still do a full attack and use an item. That's why I call it free in my mind. But because they're free, I feel like no matter what your build is, whether it's heavy hitters, whether it's finesse, whether it's, backstab guys, ninjas and stuff like that, versus paladins that are heavy hitters, any one of those builds can use items because they're free to use per turn. So items are going to be prevalent no matter what,
I could see a whole mini market based off of like item production as well. Like, people just I don't want to spend the time doing all the alchemy crap that I need to like manage to get all of the potions I need. I just want to go buy them. And I could see like that market of like, I'm buying all of these heroes specifically just to do professions like we've been doing, right? But we're going to keep it going forward specifically just to sell mats or have mats available, right, for these final potions, because these people that are like hardcore PvPers 10 hours a day, they're not going to want to go craft them. They're going to want to just buy them. And we need the liquidity.
And that's the feedback loop that we've been missing, that we need. And that's why items have been, with exceptions, down only for the past year. Yeah. Once we add in this burn mechanic, and this, not just a burn mechanic for the sake of burn mechanic, like this reason to want to burn them because it's helping you in PvP and hopefully giving you good rewards in the process. So giving you incentive to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, that'd be amazing. That's the goal, right?
Yeah, that's the metaverse.
Question on items, and Workhorse, I don't mean to put you on the spot here, so feel free not to like say anything, but he did say in the last blog post, he used the word tinctures as well, and it got me thinking, we're gonna see new items at some point, right? Like, this isn't gonna be a static group of items that we have. Are there any others that you think
100%.
we'll see? Like, I'm envisioning an interrupt item.
No. See, in my mind, it's like it'll
chuck
be
a grenade.
Yeah, basically. A
flashbang. Yeah, flashbang would be a great
Flashbang,
example of
yeah.
that. But no, I think it'll be like So we have a health vial and we have a full health potion.
Something
It'll
in the
be
middle.
like a 2x health vial. So it'll be
It's kind of boring though.
No, it is, but I mean, I can
So-
see those. Yeah,
I agree
can
with
see
you.
that.
It's just
Didn't they
I mean-
talk about the concept of scrolls knowing that?
Wait, sorry, Guy. We all were laughing at this
Oh,
joke
100%.
while you were talking.
But do
I
you
knew I
think
should have
that
said
wouldn't make me
tacos instead
speculate?
of tinctures.
Yeah, if you think that wouldn't have stopped this from
Yeah, this
happening,
question still would have happened.
I'm gonna be honest, it went right over my head.
Yeah. What, the tinctures comment?
Yep,
or-
it went. No, I was
Yeah.
just like I read over tinctures, and I was like, oh, nothing. Didn't register
yeah,
at
yeah.
all.
Yeah, no, that right off the bat was made me
Understandable.
start
Yeah.
thinking.
But I think that's like that's what all the things are. They're potions and tinctures. They're just in that. you
Yeah,
know,
the vials and stuff. But
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
But at the end of the day, right? Like, I could see more potions.
No, I think there will
coming in.
be. I think there will be eventually.
I'm gonna say it. I think Franz is right.
Yes.
They talked about
I
the
am
concept
keeping
of
count,
scrolls-
by
On
the way.
what? Wait, hold on. What? Well, Guy has something to say, so say that.
No, it's fine. Well, just keep cutting me off. It's fine.
Wow. It comes out. He is salty about
He's
it.
so salty about it. He plays it cool.
All this time he's been like, I don't care. You guys have fun.
You know, go enjoy yourselves.
No, talk, guy.
Scrolls. Thing
Yes.
day one, but they will be a thing eventually, maybe.
That's super fun. I love it. I hope they do it.
Yeah.
I kind of hope that. So this is like an inner like I like fingers crossed. I hope that scholars can reuse scrolls from your battle budget
Oh,
as
how
long
fun would
as
that
you
be?
allocate it to your battle budget.
That'd be so fun.
That'd be super cool.
Like a special ability that like they normally die when you use them.
Right,
But
they
if
use
but if a
mana to
scholar
cast a
uses it,
scroll that
if a
doesn't burn
scholar
it.
uses it, yeah.
And Workhorse said that scholars are good, so that's basically confirmed that
Confirmed.
Basically-
It's confirmed.
basically
Yeah.
confirmed.
It's good enough for me.
All right, Franz, I know you got more, but I want to throw this in there because I had one more.
Yeah, no, go.
Team
I'm
builds.
running
This was a special from you.
Oh, I thought the team builds thing were done. I would have
no,
let you
last
get
one.
this last one out.
Last one.
Oh.
The Bunker Buster is what we're calling it.
It's a
The
fun
Archer. Now I want you to talk about this because I want to know how you're going to place this on a team. So this is an Archer with the Giant Killer skill and the Giant Slayer trait. So the Giant Slayer trait is if it has less hit points, it's like plus 100% damage, and the Giant Killer skill is a specific skill the Archer has that is another 100% damage bonus if you're fighting an enemy with a higher hit point. So this one specific Archer is potentially doing plus 300% damage. It depends on how you do the equation, but like he's doing a shit ton of damage to enemies that have more hit points than him, and we're calling him the Bunker Buster, which I love is kind of like the, you know,
It's from Tribal Wars.
yeah, it's just great. Well, I mean, Bunker Buster
Wow.
existed
All right.
prior to that, but
Fair
anyways,
enough.
Don't forget about Deathmark.
yeah.
Ooh.
Again, we're not
Yeah,
even
you've heard
counting
Death
any
Mark on this?
other moves there. So you have this guy.
Lame.
How are you using him in a team? I guess is my question. You know, obviously we like having the Archer in the back row as being the kind of sniper, especially this guy who has especially, you know, gets huge bonuses for hitting specific characters. I think you'd want him in the third row. But like, what kind of team are you building around him?
Me?
a good one. He's building a good one around him.
All right, great. So let's just move on.
All right.
Oh yeah, you, Franz. I'm talking to you,
Oh, I
Franz.
thought you were talking. I thought
This
it was,
is your hero. We're talking about your hero. Come on.
I don't actually have the hero. I just want.
I thought
the
you
hero.
said this was your
And I'm-
build.
Well, that I'm going for. I have an alert set up that's Bunker Buster Archer that has not hit yet. And I want 2 Giant Slayers, not just one. I don't know why you're shortchanging it.
A double giant. Does that even exist?
No,
Okay.
but,
Yet.
you know. But someone's
How the
gonna
hell
create
did this
it.
guy get a plus 24 on his element bonus in duels? How do you get 24 on an
Guy.
you're gonna
It's
need
getting
you to
late,
focus.
guy.
Go ahead.
At least he's not doing it on screen this time.
Last time you started
times,
playing games
guy.
on stream. Yeah.
No, but I've been stalling and nothing's come to me. I'm gonna have to defer to someone else here, maybe to Wowee. I don't really see. Yeah, I'd probably put it in the third row. I mean, are you asking me like protections around it? Like I guess
Yeah.
there
Like,
be a tank
would you
out
build your
there?
team around this guy? Because this guy hypothetically is going to be cutting through enemies,
Right.
and he's going to be the number one target on the other enemy's side. So
I mean, maybe you'd
like
have
double
to throw,
tank. Double tank would be a wild build. So 2 tanks and then this guy in the back row.
or maybe a healer. Or just
Yeah.
double tank, and my potions are dedicated heavy
Exactly.
on heavy
Yeah,
on the health
yeah.
potions type of deal.
So I guess, oh yeah, wow, I would love to hear your opinion. If you have this one character, and not necessarily this example, but like if you have a third row character who is a just bomb, he just blows up the enemy team, but also is susceptible to getting attacked. I mean, are you building a team out around him?
Absolutely. This is actually, I think I talked about this earlier, actually, where it's an archer berserker. I'm using the double clutch. I'm getting the giant
but-
slayer.
Well, okay.
And I'm going to use living rage. He's going in the back line.
I'm scared.
No
I'm
matter
scared for
what.
living rage on this.
Yeah,
guy.
I almost wouldn't do it on this because I feel like this guy's so souped up already. I want to preserve his health so much.
Right, but the
You'd use it
additional
late.
the cannot die for X amount of rounds. If I'm not going to get all the value out of this gigantic hit within the X amount of rounds, I mean, I could also throw a potion, right?
I mean,
on
it's
the round that it's not going to go off.
That's
Yeah.
a good
This
point.
allows
The
me to channel.
The potion's a good point.
But also,
Yeah.
I love the idea of like I'm either gonna win or it's over. I mean, that's what you're going for, right? Like,
Yeah, 100%. Like, you don't even need to use explosion for this because explosion might not do the amount of damage you're looking for.
Yeah.
Like, I know in Archer, what the precision build is like. It's all channels, it's all snipes. You know what I mean? Like, if say living rage lasts 3 rounds and you've got a 2-round channel, that's just a gigantic snipe. Like, you're just deleting a character and then fingers crossed you've got a priest on the team or something that can just bring your
Yeah.
HP back up.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's
Woo!
what Vibes was saying here.
yeah. Healer and frontline.
Yeah.
Spell tank is an interesting idea.
See, what he's talking about right there, I love, because priests are, they've got high wisdom and
They do, yeah.
But which one do I attack first? If you've got a bunch of lobies and you've got one that's just like, okay,
Yeah.
that's their nuker, but then they've got people here to support that, and even if it dies, it comes back because they've got a
Yeah, but-
resurrect. You're like, okay, which one am I going to attack here now? I need to get rid of the resurrect first, so they can't bring
all right,
back.
all right. Great
There's
question.
so much mental taunting going on.
Yes, a lot of mental taunting. Going back to our big boy. So one big boy. You have the bunker buster build, where you have this goddamn archer in the back row who's a goddamn killer, okay? Who is he targeting round 1? Before the one big boy build has done anything. Are you taking out the priests prior to them
Big
doing
boy.
the builds? Or are you taking out the
100%.
big boy?
I think I go right for the big boy. If I can
Wait,
do
that was France.
enough,
Wait, Wowee?
yeah, go.
No, just say the one who I want all 3 of you.
I would go for a priest.
Guy?
I would attempt to interrupt the big boy and go for
Cheating.
That was not what I said.
Cheating.
That's how I'm going to answer.
You
so
have,
that's
I'm
what
saying,
gonna play.
you have a sniper who's like, it's a kill shot almost for sure. And you
Yeah.
can get it off before they do the one big boy move. Who you taking out?
Yeah, I'm probably taking out the priest if I can
Interesting.
stun trap the big boy.
Big boy, all the way. Because
If
even if
none
it
of
doesn't,
them-
And
even if
wow,
it doesn't
wow,
kill
yours
him-
was priest as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, because I would want to. So in this scenario, there's no utility on the table. It's who do I choose to kill first, right?
The priest. The healer.
I would choose
Yeah.
choose to kill a priest first because I'm going to even it, right? It's going to be 2v2 at this point.
Well, I mean,
Well, wait.
but if the big boy dies, their whole build is shot.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm thinking here is even if the kill shot isn't
But what if they got resurrect?
killy enough to
Fair.
take
Fair.
out the big boy. Well, but then at that point,
What's the faster path of
Mo-
killing the big boy?
more turns have
killing a
gone by
priest.
now where
Yeah.
I'm attacking and they're trying to come to recover from what I've done to them, right? Even if it doesn't kill the berserker, the big boy. I hate that we're saying the word big boy so much.
You have to say big boy. You
Just
have to say
sounds
big boy.
stupid.
You
but,
have to say big boy. You have to.
Who's
Alright.
the big boy?
Big boy. Big boy.
Even if it doesn't kill the big boy, it's taking him down to so low
Sure.
that when they're doing their
It's a threat.
sacrifice,
He's in danger.
does that bring back health? The sacrifice?
Great question.
I
think it's
no, I don't think
50%,
it
right?
does.
Or-
So yeah,
So it doesn't.
that's fine
It
by
doesn't
me.
heal, but it gives you HP. Like it
Right,
gives you
right.
new like
Max
maximum
HP?
HP, which would assumed give you
Right,
the
right. But
additional
if you're dead, so if you die at 100% and then you're resurrected, you don't come back at 100%.
No, resurrect
Yeah,
brings you back
yeah.
at 50%.
Right. So I think a one-shot kill is fine on the big boy. I'm fine with that.
I don't think there's a wrong answer here, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe not. Especially because that whole build does well because both priests die and give their points to the guy. And if you could eliminate even one,
Right.
I mean, if you could eliminate the big boy, I feel like you're in really good shape. But if you could eliminate even one priest, now
In a-
the
in a
bonus is
perfect
not
world,
even going to
both
be
of those
as
priests
high.
have a resurrect.
Yeah, well,
Just
I
in
mean,
case. That's your just in case they get rid of the small boy before he becomes a big boy.
right.
I hate this podcast. Go listen to somebody else. Go listen to Mythic Squad, ADFK, Grady.
All right. So these are just some random ones I threw up there. I know Wowee, I know you have a couple. Do you guys have any other team builds that you're thinking of that you want to throw out there and talk about? Like I said, we've covered a lot of it. I think the Holy Trinity, I'm not going to lie, that's what I'm shooting for every time. And maybe even like I call Bard. I'm calling Bard support. I think Bard will have some heal, to be honest, but that's my main build that I'm going with. I'm not going to lie.
Honestly, I hope Bard just has innate leadership and intimidation.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
It just makes so much sense.
Any other builds though?
I'm going with tank double DPS with the healer subclass. Until
Yeah.
proven
See,
until
that's
proven
interesting.
that's not enough.
Yeah.
And I think
this goes
even
back
have
to this was Guy's question, right? Isn't priest sub enough, or was that yours, Franz?
It was me, but I think we all kind of
Whatever.
talked through it pretty well. But
The point
I
is
want that,
like priest sub might be enough without
Right.
a main class healer, right?
I want that priest sub to still be a caster because I know mana will come into play there. And if it's a warrior, I may have limited number of heals. Right.
One flash heal, and that's it.
Right, but if it's a warrior, you can go for a Vamp Bruiser build.
Ooh, that's right. I was gonna bring that.
What
in
would
there,
that
and I
be?
didn't.
So a Vamp Bruiser build is where you have a warrior as a main class or subclass, and you are just going off of lifesteal. You're picking defensives, so you're not taking as much damage, and you're dealing out damage to get the lifesteal.
Okay.
So
I like
warrior
that.
is the only class we've seen with lifesteal as like a real basic skill. It's like a level 1, I think, right?
And there's no build off of it.
They had more than one, right? But there was a level 1.
Yeah, the Bloodthirst
more, though.
build. Yeah, there was one. I think there's just one. The one.
Oh yeah,
lifesteal
it's a
build.
whole section.
Well, no,
Bloodthirst.
Bloodthirst is what they call it, but lifesteal is only one or two actual
okay.
skills.
Yeah.
have lifesteal.
Who do we think the first class to have mana steal will be?
They already exist.
Who?
The seer does. Well, I guess not. I shouldn't say steal. It doesn't steal. It
What does it do?
adjusts. It makes your
Modifies cost.
yeah.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
Seer has moves that are
Right.
like,
That's
your-
kind of steal.
your
I
mana-
see
yeah.
why you said that. You're wrong, but I see why you. I see why you said it.
We
Yeah,
were
but, like,
halfway there with
thanks.
Thief.
Thanks.
Thief's got a mana burn,
Okay.
so it's halfway there. It doesn't steal mana,
Yeah.
but it gets
No
rid
one
of
I
it.
has
don't think
no
anyone
one
wants
has like
to.
a mana steal like lifesteal. That's
Could
what
we
I
see
can't
that
wait
be a
for it,
Dark Knight ability?
I mean,
Probably.
Dark Knight. I bet there will be an entire
see them
path
more as
that's
health-
lifesteal.
Yeah, life
Oh,
steal.
man.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they've
Greed.
got like a health steal or a life steal, mana steal, and it's for their like allies?
And he
Like,
could
use
like
this
he could like
ability
dish
to
it out. He could
steal-
dish it
like,
out.
steal their
Like
life
steal
for
it and dish it out.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. Because I feel like a mana steal is only worth it. Like it's tough to, I don't know. I want a mana steal to do a lot of. I want everything. I want it all.
Gotta get everything.
And I
in
want it now.
one level
And then
one
want it
ability.
now.
I Dark Knight's my favorite class by far.
I know.
I
I'm so
think
excited.
I
The
want it
flavor
to
on
be
that's
so
gonna
good.
be so good.
I want it to be so good.
All right, I think that is all I had from my presentation. Shout out to Starbuck again.
I want to hear Guy. I want to hear Guy's interesting team build.
Oh yeah, what do you got? I mean, he loves the all ninja.
My all ninja team would be a need for speed team.
Nice.
That it's
Same.
just all agi. But I'm going back to, I still can't highlight comments, but I think it was Luke Ethwalker had a comment of
Sticks.
just going back to, can't wait to use my soulbound holy hand grenade. I'm gonna have a build that's all item based of my items. that I'm
Ooh.
gonna do my
Interesting.
So everything you're doing is going to involve your item inventory. That's what you mean.
damage. Exactly.
So a lot of maybe speed potions.
Well, and thief, I feel like would be great for that. Yeah.
Well,
That'd
if
be
there's
interesting.
actually like
Well, that's
scrolls
affecting their
or like
side.
fire damage
Well, no, but
items,
thief
or
has
like-
the one.
All
Where
right,
it's
now
like
we're just
steel.
talking over him. Let's stop it. What guy, go
This
on.
happens every time.
if there's like potions that actually like do damage or cause poison or something like that, like that could be an interesting build. That your team is all support, and then your items are actually dealing the damage.
I like that.
I like that a lot.
Also weapons. I'm assuming.
Of course,
Yeah.
swing the
Very
thing.
interesting.
I got one, like, if we're at the end here, I do have a
Yes.
question for everybody.
Yes,
and
let's hear
it's just a for fun question. We've
How dare
got-
you ask any other?
We've got what? We got 4 basic classes, 2 advanced, 1 elite, 1 exalted,
All right, wait,
and
I
a
lost count
possible.
of the
These are the ones still to go. Still to go.
Right, that we haven't had released yet, that still need to be filled out in the Crystal Veil
Right.
release schedule.
Yeah.
What, if any, class type are you guys hoping that they're going to throw in here? And I'll go ahead and throw out an example. I would love to see like a samurai class.
Haven't we seen that? No.
Kind of, but
Ninja?
maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how it would differ from Ninja enough. I'm not schooled enough in
True. Yeah. Me neither.
the games of role playing to know the differences there.
Well, I was gonna say culturally, I don't know the difference, but
Oh, that too. That's probably the more appropriate
Yeah,
answer.
Yeah,
Ninja
yeah.
are very different.
Yeah.
Guy and I talked about this a while ago on a podcast. I think
Guy got his-
Beastmaster. I'd love to see
I got mine.
Beastmaster.
That's what
Yeah,
I
he
was
got
gonna-
his wish. He's been
He
talking
got his
about
wish as
Bard.
Bard. Bard
since
was his
before
wish.
Crystal
Yeah.
Veil.
Yeah. Beastmaster, I think would be fun.
Beastmaster or a hunter would be cool.
Yeah.
like
I know
that.
we have Thief, but Rogue. I'd be fine with Rogue and Thief existing in the same world. That's fine with me, right?
Do you think we're close enough to the battle mage now? Like between, is battle mage just going to be like the priest skills that we've seen, as well as like maybe quasi spellbow, or
That's a
is
good
there
point.
battle mage?
I would be down for a battle mage.
It sounds
He's
interesting.
yeah, is Necromancer too close to a summoner? Do we think they're gonna do
No,
that?
fuck
I
that.
don't think so.
Necromancer could
Then
100% be its
Necromancer.
own thing. Yeah.
I think they are
Necromancer too.
100% going to be going for a necromancer or warlock, just based off of the
Warlock would be cool.
the dark summoner. I mean, there's a whole lot of lore
Yeah.
that they just like threw in there.
Yeah.
Ooh,
It's-
okay.
Warlock would be fun because Warlock could be like luck and like weird skills and not necessarily intelligence or wisdom.
I mean,
that'd be fun.
we already kind of have it with Archer, and they've said, not like they've said, but they've said that it'll be all human classes. But like
right.
an elf type thing. I mean, I know we already kind
I
of
don't-
have
Once
it,
you get
Yeah.
into the race,
you know.
like,
Now we're
I
getting
don't know
into
if they'll
races.
touch-
That's a little
interesting.
different,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't know.
What was the one we thought, guy? The one we thought. Oh, that was the one we thought is like battle commander or like battle chief.
yeah,
And it's
chieftain.
like a bard who's like good at fighting.
Oh, like a warlord.
Yeah.
Warlord is a great way to
Team
yeah.
buffs.
The
Team buffs.
Pathfinder.
Yes. Something like that where it's like a high endurance,
Would you-
high, yeah.
Would you ever go like a scout route or something like that?
Could be interesting.
That could be interesting.
I'm thinking an engineer, right? That like crafts things in the middle of it. Like you can kind of like how
Well,
the series.
Scholar is close to that, but yeah.
I
yeah.
would hope so. I honestly would
Yeah.
have liked to see Scholar go into it, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking like an engineer build where rather than having your series, right, where you're like, okay, do Gladiator Strike, then Flurry of Blows, and then this, you actually build out your like how you're going to play it, so your series stays when you make it to the very top, and now you've got like a new series of abilities that you can use after you've
or-
set it up, or item
or
based.
yeah, like the engineer can like fill in the blanks. Where
Yes.
it's like last turn I needed an X, and it's like engineer can automatically make sure that that happened, or you know what I mean? Like it makes it so that whatever your move you're trying to do, the engineer reconstructs it. So reconstructs it so that
And a few beers.
it's been a few beers, yeah. The engineer like makes sure that like your move is eligible to be pulled off. Oh, that'd be super cool, and that would
I
make
like
the
that.
engineer like an amazing support, like ultimate support. You know.
Do we think that the priest class right now has enough dark type things or kind of offensive type things that a dark priest class being separate would be out of the question?
I don't think so.
I don't think
I
so.
think that's
I
well
don't- I
within the
think-
frame of reality.
I was gonna just say it, and then I realized that I didn't know the priest class well enough,
Ooh.
so I posted it as
No,
a question instead.
there,
Like an
there
acolyte?
is a couple like damage dealing priest moves, but it's not significant in my opinion. I
I think
think
a dark priest would be
the
a lot
vast
of
majority of priest is cleansing and hero and healing. So
I like that. Like a dark priest being the opposite, where it's
yeah.
like based off of
shadow
debuffing.
priest, like a whole shadow priest class would be kind of
fun.
cool.
Or
like
would
that.
that cut into the Dark Knight too much? I mean,
fuck
it
it,
would
we
be
don't
it would
know
be
yet.
kind of like a
Eh.
support Dark
Because
Knight.
the Dark Knight is like utilizing your blade
Right.
to do magical damage. whereas
Ooh.
Shadow Priest is
Sticks
more-
intern said cultist. I like that.
Yeah, I like cultist.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that
Now,
a lot.
occultist class, that would be
That'd be like
kind of like a mind control type
Well,
of.
no, that'd be the dark priest or the
Oh,
shadow
just what you
priest
would
would be a
call it. Okay.
cultist. Yeah, that's just like what you would call it. Yeah.
I was thinking of like taking control of heroes or making
Well,
them do
I mean
other
that's
things.
yeah, like warlock maybe.
Ooh, like a lot of extra confusion and berserk status.
Yeah.
All right, we got to wrap up.
Yeah, this went a
This
lot
is one of
longer
the
than I
longest
thought it
streams
was
we've
gonna.
ever done.
I'm falling asleep over here.
Okay, we hit all the things we want to hit. Do we have any other comments that we want to make? Franz, Guy Kid, anything we missed that we want to talk about? No. Great.
That's enough.
Wowee.
When-
Right now. Oh,
When chef class?
when chef
When
class?
when
Great
chef,
question.
Yes, that's the
chef
one I'm
class.
most excited to see.
Wowee, thank you so much for joining us. This was super fun. The floor is open. What do you want to promote? What do you want to talk about? Say whatever you want to say right now.
Sure, yeah. I'm sure everyone is pretty aware of my Monday night streams that have not been very frequent. Whenever there is a class drop, I will be covering it on Monday nights. Usually, typically at 7:30 with fantastic co-host here, Maddie Pesk. I do want to let everybody know that I did open up my YouTube channel, and I am posting the replays of those codices.
Excellent.
In the YouTube channel. I'm not sure if you can go to me right now, but if you go to YouTube / I think at OXWowee, that's my YouTube channel. Please subscribe, and you'll just get all the replays if you can't make them.
Yes, very cool. I highly recommend everyone check that out. And I will say, like, that's awesome. You got the YouTube thing happening on there. This is something that we've debated amongst the Bogside boys of YouTube versus Twitch kind of stuff. So I have no point to make. I just think we've talked about it too.
We've talked about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on though, Wowie. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is super
This was
fun.
a great stream.
Glad we got to talk about this stuff. Final comments, Franz, Guy Kid?
You already asked me.
Didn't we just do that?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did. I'm
I
doing it
think
again.
we're
I'm
good.
giving you a second chance to say
I
something.
like this. I like this loop. This is
Yeah.
fun.
When PvP.
When
PvP is a great thing to end on. This has been Bogside Chats. Thank you guys for joining us. My name is Matty Pesk for Franz and for Guy Kid. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Have a good one.
Bye, guys.
And